Mic check. Microphone check. Let's check the mics, please. Good morning. Happy Monday, everybody. Monday, Jesus. Tuesday. It's Tuesday. Happy Tuesday, everybody, wherever you are, however you may be listening. Thanks for making us part of your day. Well done, Matlock, on the black hat. Jesus. And start over.
You're just struggling with words today.
Can we start over?
We can.
Not Matlock with the black cock. Black. Can we start over? I don't know what to do at this point. I honestly don't know. I don't know what to do here.
You have to rock out with your cock out. I don't know.
Jesus Christ. I was just telling Jen a story right before. I think it's just on my mind. Oh Lord, I don't know what's going on. I have no idea. I said black cock and I meant to say black hat. I don't know how that even happened, but there we go. That's how we started things off this morning. Gonna get banned before we even get to the information today by TikTok. Hey TikTok, sorry about that. I don't have a good excuse for that. What's up with the shirt? I don't know. I don't know what this shirt is. I don't know what Pedals in Pain is. It was sent to me in a subscription box a while ago. I've never worn this shirt before, and I wore it today. It has a real phone number. It's 1-800-THE-CURE, but I don't think it's like a real. I don't think it's a real business. I have no idea what this shirt is. Sorry. Jam out with your clam out. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Well, shut up, Jen. How about that?
All right. Well, good thing is there's not very many people in here yet.
Good. I'm not very popular. That's terrific. Thank you for bringing that up.
It's just starting.
All right.
So,
well,
and I forgot to hit the enter to let everybody know that we're live. So we'll just now. So maybe people missed it, unless someone on Twitch is really, really crafty and clips this and drops it into RTP out of context. So.
Someone definitely is crafty. It's got to be there already. Oh, this was from yesterday. Janelle said, Jay, I'm watching the show late, but I want to thank you for standing on your principles and with integrity in light of the Plattner allegations. Prioritizing respect and justice for victims makes a difference. It sets an example that I wish others would follow. Much respect and love. Thank you. We'll cover a little bit more of that today. All right, Jen, what's new in your life? Can you save this?
Probably not.
You're not doing anything. You went back into.
I'm just letting this happen because it's entertaining. So.
Did you do anything at all this weekend you can tell a story about, or?
Nothing too exciting. I mean, typical 4th of July stuff. I mean,
armed robbery.
Nope, none of that.
None of that.
I think when we first started working together, we discussed that I don't think I look all that great in orange, so I try to avoid committing very many crimes. So, I mean, that wasn't this weekend, but I did stream the sports ball stuff last night for you, so you could go get that massage. So, you're welcome.
Fuck you, dude. Fuck you. I can't tell that story. I can't. Listen, I have a story. I'll tell the members at the members only night on Wednesday. We got to pick a movie for that. Actually, I forgot all about that. I cannot tell that story live, but shut up, Jen. I did convince my massage therapist to let me watch the game on my phone. So they put a stool like under the face hole. I don't know what the official word for that is, but there's a face hole. And I got to watch the first half of the match from my massage therapist bed. So, God.
So,
what's your problem? Yeah, that's what I want. What's your fucking problem today? That's what I want to know.
I don't have a problem. I'm entertained. It was
funny. Jen, first of all, we're late because Jen wouldn't shut up like always.
Oh my God. Okay.
We ended our conversation with me saying, I can't tell this story live. And 4 seconds later, Jen's like, hey, you want to talk about No, it's
I
not
didn't
a
say
happy ending
anymore.
story. No, it's not a happy ending story. It's nothing crazy. It's just funny. I
Yeah,
just can't tell it. So
yeah. But if you are a member, and you like to, how you become a member is you become either a paid member or subscriber wherever you're watching. Um, you can join us for our members only event on Wednesday nights, every other Wednesday. That will be tomorrow.
Jen Paris Mom is saying, can anyone tell me how to message Jen on Discord for movie nights? I'd like to join. Maybe now's a good time.
Yeah, so
Explain
how
it.
you do that is the same way that ops can message me to come up and debate. It's just send me a message on Discord. My Discord username is the same as the Venmo. So Jen with two N's, Deb with two B's, the number one. So that's how you can get in the Discord to join for that.
There you go.
Yeah. So, but we can get going if you want, unless you have anything else you want to discuss before we get going.
No, I didn't have anything to discuss at all.
No, okay.
Actually,
Well,
yeah.
I don't know if there's anything that was important to you. I laugh when people are like, "I hate when mom and dad fight." We're not fighting. This is just how we are.
No, when me and Jen fight, Jen is screaming and I'm crying. You'll know.
We really haven't gotten to really any fights. Like,
I think we've had one heated discussion in all the time we've
yeah,
worked together, and it wasn't that heated.
yeah,
Yeah.
no.
But
No, for the most
I
part,
was crying in the fetal position. And Jen was screaming, but I wasn't fighting back.
I think you're confusing that fight with somebody else. But anyways, we can move on.
Okay.
All right, welcome everybody. It is Tuesday. Oh, we got the show going. Jay's trying to blame me for shit that didn't happen. So it's just another day. So welcome. We've got a gift goal. If you're new here, we have a gift goal that we need to hit each day, so that we can keep the lights on and keep doing this because this is our job. So we do the show Monday through Friday from 9:30 to 1 Pacific time. And like I said, the gift goal, Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Super Chats are all how we knocked out that gift goal. The pay links are our preference. Super Chats are great, but they take a little bit more from us tax wise. So there's that. Burned Out Medic just sent a Venmo saying, "Don't sweat it. I have Freudian slips every other thing I say. So you're not the only one."
Oh, that's good news. That one was just crazy. That was like, how did I was trying to say black hat.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even that close.
So
Big Nomad Gal says sent $25 on Cash App and said towards black cock. So thank you. This sucks.
Do that. All right. So like I mentioned, if you guys want to join us for members only events, we have one coming up next tomorrow at 6 p.m. Pacific time. We watch movies. And Jay tells his entertaining stories about why I'm giving him a hard time right now. What?
No. I'll tell your entertaining stories. How about that?
No, we won't do that.
We won't do that.
Anyways, so how you do that, like I said, is you became a paid member or subscriber on wherever you're watching. So if you're a paid member or subscriber, any of the memberships, you can join us for that. Check out the link tree in the bio. We're on most social media platforms. We've got merch. Jay's on Cameo. We upload these episodes to Spotify. If you guys disagree with RTB, you can come up and have a conversation. And I do that, just send me a message on Discord. So my Discord username is the same as the Venmo. So Jen with two N's, Deb with two B's, the number one. And I can bring you on. So why aren't there any horses in therapy?
Because they're something about them being stable.
Yeah, because their home is stable.
Nice.
Yeah. But then how many Trump supporters does it take to change a light bulb?
I don't know.
None. They said he did it and they all clap in the dark.
I like that. Curse World, welcome. You're having some big feelings this morning. It's all right. I have big feelings sometimes too. Sometimes I cry. Sometimes I get upset. You're having some big feelings about Democrats this morning, though. So I hope things get better for you. Luckily for you, this is not a Democrat stream or a Democratic stream. Well, it isn't. Yeah, it's definitely not Democratic. It's pretty fascist as far as how we run the stream. But we're not super pro-Democrat here. In fact, we're going to be criticizing some Democrats here in just a moment. So you might like it here. And maybe we can turn that frown upside down and make a lemonade out of your lemons this morning. How does that sound? That's going to get clipped. Somehow that's going to get clipped. All right, let's jump right into the show. I'm going to actually switch screens like I'm supposed to. Boom. I showed some of this clip, yesterday. We have the expanded clip here. This was Chris Wright bragging about how he's making energy prices go up, and this one might make you upset, Curse World, because Republicans are perfect. You know what I mean? Like, they don't get shit wrong ever. And this is just one of those times where, for some reason, they've decided that you need to pay more for your energy. So you and I, Curse World, we're in this together. The Republicans finally doing something wrong. Look at what they're talking about now.
Bring it back home to energy here in the United States. Take a look at this Wall Street Journal article, the 5 alarm risks facing the power grid this summer. It talks about a perfect storm of, we have high temperatures, new AI data centers pulling a lot of energy, and those blue state anti-fossil fuel policies.
Now, we all know that there's no such thing as climate change. It just happenstance that global temperatures have gone up 3 degrees over the past 100 years. It just happenstance that basically everybody in the Midwest and in the what do we say, the north central part of our country and the East Coast. It just so happens that you're all going to have record high temperatures on the same year, and the record high temperatures that you had from last year are no longer going to be the record high temperatures, and that heat is getting more extreme. It's lasting longer. Storms are getting more extreme. They're lasting longer. And all of that, of course, Curse World, is fake because, right, climate change isn't real because Jesus has that controlled and he would never do those things. But Wall Street Journal, that liberal rag, is doing some fear mongering with the 5 alarm risks facing the power grid this summer, and it's a good article if you like fairy tales. But basically, all they're saying is that everything's going to be really, really hot, which already strains the power grid. But then we also pulled away renewable energy like wind and solar, so we have less energy production, and we have less ability to create renewable energy. So it's going to really stress power grids all over this country, which is going to probably lead to some blackouts and some rolling brownouts. But nothing. It's not climate change. It has nothing to do with pulling subsidies from renewable energy. And thank God we have Chris Wright here, the oil lobbyist who's the Secretary of Energy, who literally works for the oil companies. Thank God we have him here to tell us the truth.
People are really worried, particularly in blue states, about blackouts because of all this. Is that a possibility?
Yeah, David, and that last one is by far the biggest threat. These are blue state policies, and they were Obama administration policies and Biden administration policies.
That's literally all the argument that most MAGA needs to just oppose it. Remember the other day we showed that clip of that what's that gross fuck's name in Florida, Randy Fine, when they asked him why he opposed the housing bill, and he's like, because Democrats liked it. So I'm not here to work with Democrats. I'm here to fight against them. That was just enough for him. That right there is probably plenty for most MAGA voters. Like, oh, Obama and Biden put subsidies in for renewable energy. Yeah, we should get rid of them.
15 years ago, the Democrats decided they're the party of expensive energy. They're the party of unreality. We're going to oppose
unreality
fossil fuels, even though they're 80% of American energy and 80% of global energy. We're going to close coal plants, make it hard to build new gas plants, close nuclear plants, and we're going to bet the farm on the sun and the wind. That was a disastrous bet that drove high electricity prices and stopped any growth of American electricity production.
Well, here's the problem. You can look at this study. This is from Amber Energy here. And he says that it was a disastrous bet that drove high electricity prices and stopped any growth of American electricity production. So let's look at that. 17% of the growth in 2024 of energy production was wind and solar. That was a record 17% of U.S. electricity in 2024 and overtook coal at 15%. So solar and wind produced more energy than coal. It's cheaper to produce, and it's cleaner. So naturally, the guy from big oil was like, we should probably get rid of wind and solar energy. Because what does this 17% represent to him? What does this 17% represent to the people that he reports to? 17% of profit that they don't get a piece of. 17% of the energy consumed in this country that these poor oil companies don't get a piece of. And they're hurting, guys. They don't have enough money. So what do we got to do? We got to just convince the American people that cheaper energy is bad for them, and that wind and solar are communist, and so we have to get rid of wind and solar, and we got to do oil. This idea that the Biden administration or the Obama administration made it harder to drill is insane. Joe Biden, under the Biden administration, they drilled more oil than at any other time in American history. It's true that they limited some permits, but those permits were because there were pending permits available all over the place, and you had oil companies who were just going out and getting permit after permit after permit, and they're casting a wide net. And basically the Biden administration is like, you can't just do that. You can't tie up every single potential place we might have oil with permit requests and then do nothing about it. 3% was the year-on-year increase in electricity demand, the fifth largest year-on-year increase in the century. 64, terawatt hours was the year-on-year increase in solar generation, larger than the 59 terawatt-hour rise in gas generation. So we're trying to rip this out now. What do you think happens when you take the cheapest form of energy that's making up 70% or 17% of the energy produced? What do you think happens when you rip away the subsidies? This number, ideally for them, is going to go down, which means what's going to happen to your prices? They go up. This is the most basic way I can explain this to you is your gas prices are supply and demand, right? And manipulation, but supply and demand. If you need more gas, whether it be natural gas or gas created from oil or coal, the demand goes up. What happens to the price when the demand goes up? Price goes up. If you take the demand, if in places where you can take that demand down. You know, I live in Arizona. It makes a whole lot of sense to produce as much solar energy as possible. It's sunny every goddamn day here. I don't remember the last day where the whole day wasn't sunny, or where the whole day was cloudy. I can't remember. It rained the other day, like half the day it was a little cloudy. Makes a whole lot of sense here. Makes a whole lot of sense in like southern Nevada. Makes a whole lot of sense in like southwestern Colorado. There's a lot of places. Makes a lot of sense in Texas. Same with wind. So why not try and get this number as high as possible? Since it's the cheapest energy to produce, why wouldn't we want this number as high as possible? Because oil lobbyists, right? Energy lobbyists, they just want to make sure that this number's as low as possible. So somehow we've got two parties in this country, and about a fourth of the people in those two parties are like, hey, we should make energy cheaper and cleaner. And then everybody else is like, but what about the poor lobbyists? What about the poor oil companies? And I want to remind you once again that us having record production of oil, us drilling more now than we ever have before, does absolutely nothing for you. Absolutely nothing for you. If solar energy is doing nothing for your state, you have such a high deficit, you're wasting taxpayers' money on that state and causing it to be a big shithole. California sucks. Brother, these are federal grants. Like, you guys, I don't know, you guys have to stop doing this California thing. California, like, I don't know what state you live in, but I promise you California is, if you're in a red state, California is probably responsible for paying a lot of your bills. Axe said, start the show off hard and fast because that's the way Jen loves it. Have a great day. Thank you. Good luck, Swiss. Thanks. I think GL is good luck. Thanks, RTB Mods and Fam. Amy said maybe it's the renewable energy. Texas has more than any state, and they have issues. That's a good point. Texas is heavily investing in this. Can we pull the plug on McConnell yet? Ridiculous. Yeah, he might be dead. I'm sorry I missed these all earlier. Mitch McConnell. I heard last night. Now they're saying that he's. I don't know what the correct term is. I heard that his brain is not active anymore. That's what I've heard. But that's also. Can you say brain dead? Are you allowed to say brain dead? Is that like? I don't know. It sounds harsh. I don't know if you're allowed to say brain dead. That's what I heard too. They said brain dead. But he was close to that the last 5 years. Like it's not like he was working with a fully active brain for the last 10 years. They're waiting till August 3rd. Yeah, that's what they're trying to stretch it out so that they can name his successor instead of having an open primary, right? That's what I heard too. Yeah, to avoid the special election. You can say brain dead. Okay, cool. Maybe vegetable you're not supposed to say. I don't know. Anyways, back to Chris Wright bragging about making your energy prices higher.
Fortunately, with the working families tax.
Yeah, I heard that too. His wife's not even in the country. Elaine Chao is his wife, and she's just not around.
Cut. We just July 4, we just passed the day that those subsidies are no longer available if you start construction on a project today. Ironically, spending hundreds of billions of dollars of government subsidies was a driver of increased electricity prices. Normally, you have a huge.
That doesn't make any sense. Can you hear this? Just listen to this.
Today. Ironically, spending hundreds of billions of dollars of government subsidies was a driver of increased electricity prices.
All right, let's sift through that. These government subsidies he's talking about would go to wind and solar projects, right? The government is providing them subsidies. Subsidies that the wind and solar projects don't have to come up with for themselves. So it's money that they don't have to go out and raise. It's money they don't have to spend from their capital or their coffers. It's essentially free money for them so that they can build out the infrastructure. Can somebody explain to me, a MAGA economist here, can you explain to me how the government subsidizing your project would make the end result, which is energy, more expensive? It would make it less expensive, right? If I understand how money works, if I understand how investing works, if your input costs are less, then your output revenues will be higher, right? He's lying. This doesn't make any fucking sense. How in the world would government subsidies cause the price of wind and solar energy to go up? MAGA economist is just like, yeah, it's silly. My state got involved with energy production and pricing, and now we're cooked. What state are you in, Microbe Joe? Mitch McComa, come on. Is now Mitch McConnell. Jesus. You want to explain it? Am I crazy here? Am I wrong? Even the people on my side, am I crazy here to think that this doesn't make any sense?
Available if you start construction on a
Connecticut? Well, what's going on with Connecticut energy prices? Let's look at that. What did they do? What did they do to get involved in? I'm not up to date on Connecticut politics. What's this? But they just they just got involved like they did a bunch of wind and solar? Amy Lynn said, well, oil companies get $35 billion in subsidies. Is that why gas prices are so high? Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. No, subsidies for oil companies drive costs down. Subsidies for commie energy drive prices up. As a Connecticut resident, I'm sorry, we what? Yeah, I'm confused too. I'm trying to figure out. I'm correct. Thank you, Laura. I appreciate you saying that. If you subsidize the consumer, you can increase it, but if your subsidy is going to the producer, you don't. Yeah, thank you. Okay. I was looking for a coherent argument against me, but I guess Is it okay to call McConnell the F slur? No. No. Why would you? No. Get it together. What's up, Etheria? Amy said, oh, I got that one. Who was the person talking about Connecticut? Where did you go? I don't know what you're talking about. You maybe explain it a little better. I don't know what I'm looking at, like your energy prices. I don't see. I don't see like a substantial increase anywhere. All right, this is from Wushu Public Radio. How Connecticut energy prices got so high and what can be done about it. It's from 2023. It was built around natural gas. And then they try to convert a bunch of houses to gas heat. The interstate pipeline system that supplies Connecticut's natural gas is already constrained, and there's limited liquefied natural gas capacity in Connecticut at current use rate. Okay, so supply. So you ran out of LNG. Doesn't sound like a renewable energy problem. Sounds like a infrastructure problem. And then you got hit. Looks like by the war in Ukraine. You had a big spike here. And then it looks like it's leveled off and it's come back down now. So I don't know. Connecticut governor is holding them back from increasing our electric costs. Oh no. Oh no, that evil governor is helping keep prices low. Oh no. Is frittata a slur? I don't think so. It might be.
Project today. Ironically, spending hundreds of billions of dollars of government subsidies was a driver of increased electricity prices. Normally, you have a huge subsidy, you push the price of something down. They lost twice. Spend massive subsidies, make electricity more expensive. But the Trump administration...
I think what they did here is they just saw that, like, total electricity costs went up. And so they're like, oh, it was the subsidies. This is like MAGA math and MAGA economy here. It's like, who are we representing? The oil companies. So what are we going to do? We're going to just say that the reason prices went up is because of renewable energy.
Is reversing
Josh
all
Elliott
of
for
that.
Connecticut governor,
You will
though.
see an end to the rise of the electricity prices, and our pragmatic policies will keep the lights on and keep the air conditioners running this summer, but it will be a massive challenge given 17 years of Democrat policies degrading the quality of our electric grid.
It's extra. I live in New York, where we have these extraordinary reserves of natural gas, which are unattainable because of these blue state regulations. Of course, it's the same in California and elsewhere.
Is that true? What's the problem with natural gas in New York? Anybody, we got anybody from New York here? New York holds less than 0.05% of total U.S. natural gas reserves, 363 billion cubic feet of proven dry reserves. Although the state sits atop the gas-rich Marcellus Shale, which may hold over 9 trillion cubic feet, extensive natural gas extraction there remains banned due to the prohibition on hydro. Oh, okay, so it's fracking? Yeah, but wait. Well, you just looked at Connecticut. Connecticut tried to shift to natural gas and everything got more expensive. You'd have to build out all that. I wonder how much all that infrastructure would cost. Because local production is highly restricted, the state relies on imported supplies for nearly 85% of its total energy needs. To meet demand, gas is brought in from other states, making pipeline infrastructure vital. Well, cool. Get renewable energy and batteries? You could probably do that. New York doesn't have them because they are stored in New Jersey, probably. I don't know. Plattner needs to resign by Monday. Give Mills a chance. Yeah, I can't believe he hasn't resigned. That's the next thing we're going to cover here. I thought Plattner would make. We played his announcement yesterday, which was absolute dog shit. It was extremely gaslighty. It was what every predator always does: deny the allegations, play on people's heartstrings, remind them what a good person you are, and then be like, "I'll be back and I'll think about this, but I've got to put you guys first." Well, you should have. You should have before. Like, if you knew these allegations were out there, you should have done that before. Even if worst case scenario I guess us, but these allegations were false. The fact that he knew that these allegations were out there and it never came to light, he didn't tell anybody. Like, that, the best case scenario, the best light you can paint Graham Plattner in is that he knew the allegations were out there and he said nothing. And based on what we've read of the evidence, that doesn't seem likely at all. It seems, I mean, in order for this story to not be true, this victim would have had to plan this out years ago, like long before Graham Plattner was ever running for office. She would just have to like plant all these breadcrumbs and like have all these records, knowing somehow that in 2026 Plattner was going to run for office. This is the Politico reporter who broke the story, Adam Wren, on with Mika Brzezinski on MS Now. And she just kind of pushes him on like what exactly it was that caused them to publish this. I also want to say this. I think that there's there were obviously allegations against Plattner before, and we covered those. I think it was last week or the week, maybe 2 weeks ago. And I don't remember exactly what I said, but I would imagine that if we went back and watched it, I said something along the line of, these are serious allegations. It doesn't look like anybody's coming forward with their evidence. They're nervous. In fact, this victim was mentioned that there was another allegation, but they hadn't brought forward evidence. And I think we left it with, let's see if people bring forward evidence, and if they do, I'm a believe women person, right? I'm a believe victim person. Gifting is suspended. Okay, thank you, TikTok. Appreciate that. And I think sometimes that if we've got MAGA here, I think sometimes that is misunderstood. When people say believe all women, or if you want to expand that to believe victims, what you're saying is the same thing that the police do when you call them. Like I had somebody try to break in my house one time. I wound up holding that person at gunpoint as they were trying to break in my house. Called the police, told the police, hey, somebody's trying to break in my house. Come quickly. They showed up. They believed me. They believed that when I called them, somebody was trying to break into the house. When they got there, they weren't like, well, did you leave your garage door open? Did they know what was, because they were trying to come in the garage. Did they know what was in your garage? Do you know this person? Why don't you have a lock on your side gate? Why don't you have a camera over here? What did you do? Did you put something on Facebook Marketplace? There was none of that. It was like, in fact, I held the person at gunpoint. They walked off. I wasn't about to shoot them while they were walking away. They went and they hid in the bushes. The police got them. It was pretty simple. But that's what believe all women means. Like, believe the accusation, and then it can go to court. And then in court, you have due process. And then that's where you decide what the punishment is, and that's how you go through the evidence. But believe that the allegation deserves an investigation. And that's what we did. When the first allegations came out, we said, these are serious allegations. Let's see what the evidence says. But we're like, we want to see the evidence. Not, I won't believe it until I see the evidence. That's not the same thing. It's, let's see the evidence, and then once the evidence is presented, let's form an opinion. Too many times, I got in a discussion with somebody yesterday, which is crazy, because I just want to remind you that this is the exact fucking set of facts that Republicans consistently say is not enough evidence to convict Donald Trump or to say that he's civilly liable of sexual assault, and they are willing to absolutely bury Graham Plattner. For the record, bury Graham Plattner. This is plenty of evidence to say Graham Plattner did something wrong, that he's a sex pest, that he's a liar, that he should be not considered for office. And if he wants to prove it in court, again, great, like, he can be redeemed. But it's so crazy to watch Republicans legit like come out like, look at this, look at you guys. It's like, this is the exact same thing. E. Jean Carroll made a claim, and they're like, that was a long time ago. Why didn't you report it to the police? Well, she didn't report this to the police. She still hasn't reported it to the police. And they believe it. Well, there's no physical evidence. Well, she doesn't have physical evidence. She has conversations with her therapist, and the therapist has confirmed that they've had these conversations. She had a conversation with another person who she warned about Graham Plattner. She had conversations with friends, and they're in the process of trying to recover like Instagram and Facebook messages that she sent to Plattner. Can you guys at least see like your media, whether if you're on the right, can you at least see how your media holds a completely different standard for Plattner than Trump? Yeah, same thing with Kavanaugh. Thank you. A lot of you guys are saying that too. Kavanaugh, the same thing. There was more evidence for Kavanaugh. Multiple people. It was written down. There were records on this. I hope you recognize, some of you, the difference between how you're handling sexual assault claims and how at least I am. I don't want to speak for everybody on the left. I didn't watch anybody yesterday, so I don't know. I saw Vosh. I thought Vosh handled it really, really well. That's the only person I saw. But hold a standard. All these predators got to go. All right. Anyways, this was a really interesting interview on why they decided to publish this Politico story.
Adam Wren. Adam, I want to get right to
the reason in the women in Trump's case have been proven to be lies. Which one? Tell me, Villain. While this is playing, I need you to name the person and tell me the lie they told.
the questions about this, the questions surrounding this.
Oh, sorry. YKSD said Mills takes money from PACs, but better than Collins. True. And either of them better than Plattner. Illusion said, you said that Plattner has a message anyone could get behind, but if he turns out to be bad, you may eat crow. That's why I like you. Integrity, MAGA lack it. Yeah, I liked his message. Honestly, like it fucked me up a little bit yesterday. I was legitimately sad about Graham Plattner. And I think some of that, like, there's a little bit of Graham Plattner that I connect to in terms of, like, you want to feel like you can have some redemption for your past opinions. I had some pretty bad opinions in my past. I had really, like, ultra conservative views. I didn't view humanity the same way that I do now. So there's like that part of Plattner that resonated with me that's like, hey, this is somebody who learned from their mistakes and then set out and is now standing on principles. And I wanted to believe that in Plattner, and it admittedly, like I did, and maybe I overlooked some stuff. I don't know. I need to go back and process that. But I was frustrated by that yesterday. It kind of fucked me up a little bit. So yeah. But whatever your political opinions are, we have to get back to a place where, like, sexually assaulting somebody matters more than your political opinions. That should be the line. If somebody shares all your political opinions and they're running against somebody who shares the exact opposite of your political opinions, and the person you support sexually assaulted somebody, then the other person's the better choice. That other person's a better choice. You can't possibly make the argument that the person who chose to take away somebody else's autonomy is, like, the better choice. That's never going to be the better choice.
Both sides of this debate. There's not a police report, correct? Correct me if I'm wrong. And there's not a legal case playing out here for due process to see itself through. So my question to you, given the very high standards Politico has before they write something like this and publish it, what aspects of this story brought it to the level of publishable?
Yeah, you're correct here, Mika. There is no police report in this case. We spent a lot of time talking to Jenny, asking her for corroborating evidence. She shared that she had confided into a number of people.
Yeah, listen, Susan Collins is awful too. Susan Collins is awful too. We all agree with that. And that hopefully Mills is. I don't know a great deal about Mills, but yeah. Also, but Susan Collins is. I would vote for Susan Collins over Graham Plattner,
including her therapist.
No police report. She made it up. We're not doing that, AJ. I hope hopefully you're joking. I don't know. Are you saying that that's what other people are saying, or are you saying that?
In almost real time, and we reviewed email
AJ's not
exchanges
joking?
between.
All right, brother. Listen, you got to go then. Get rid of AJ. We're not doing that shit here. Sorry, not today. We're not doing that.
She and her therapist referring to what she called this sexual assault, and her therapist sort of acknowledging that this had happened to her. We talked to people who she confided in the months after this happened. We asked her why she didn't file a police report, and she described sort of the insular nature of where she lives and her corner of Maine that she shares with Graham Plattner. And she, debated sort of how to handle this.
Cap for Life, I want you to, you said ABC News agreed to a $50 million settlement with Trump over a defamation lawsuit from 2024. Anchor George Stephanopoulos incorrectly stated that Trump was found liable for rape. That's not actually what happened. George Stephanopoulos quoted the judge who said that the standard for rape and the standard that he was held to were the same. It's just that one was a civil case and one was a criminal case. And that's why he was charged with sexual abuse and not rape, because rape is a criminal conviction. Sexual abuse is a civil matter. So he didn't win that. They settled because it was going to be cheaper for them to pay him that money, and they wanted a merger than it would be to actually fight the case. But again, like, it doesn't matter, dude. You won't hold. You're never going to hold him accountable for any of this shit, anyways.
And we found ultimately the number of corroborating pieces of evidence.
No, you're not telling me what ABC News said. You're telling me what you said. You incorrectly quoted ABC News there.
To support her story in a way that we could report it.
So what are some of those corroborating pieces of evidence? So you've got conversations with her therapist and people who she confided in. We
really got a lot of rape apologists here. You guys are gross. This is like. It's honestly just so frustrating. I hate that we even have to argue it. I don't know what the fuck you're doing. Like any of you that have a mother, a daughter, a wife, if your mother or daughter or wife were sexually assaulted, the chances of them having physical evidence are slim to none. Slim to fucking none. It is very, very difficult to physically prove sexual assault. I want you to remember that. There are people in your life, mothers, maybe some of your children, aunts, wives, cousins, neighbors. Statistically speaking, somebody that you see regularly was sexually assaulted and probably didn't report it. Just statistically speaking, someone around you deals with that every day. And because of people like you, they don't report it because they're never believed, and then they're treated like this. I do not, for the life of me, I don't fucking get any of you. Wow, Peace Way Beat, get rid of Peace Way Beats. No, we're not doing that. Not today. Like, sorry, that's not this stream. This is crazy. I got a daughter. I could give a fuck about any one of you coming back to this stream ever again. I'm not doing that. I'd rather the world be a better place, but I need you guys to step the fuck up and act like grown adults. Rape apology is one of the most pathetic forms of human life that there could possibly be. You're on the internet. You're like, none of this is happening. You're on the fucking internet as an adult human being. This is how you've chosen to spend your time. To talk about cases that you're not involved with, experiences that you're not involved with, and just shame women who have been abused. This is why they say the bear. This is why they say the fucking bear. Like, you guys all laugh at that. Like, would women choose the men or the bear? And you're like, oh, a bear would rip you to shreds. Yeah, it could. It could. But it probably won't. Left alone with a man, you're probably going to be sexually assaulted. This is why it's not a joke. They legitimately think this. I don't want to raise my daughter in that world. I don't want you to raise your daughters in that world. I don't want that world to exist. It exists because of these types of apologetics. It's disgusting. Hold people accountable. I've recently had to abandon like an entire very close relationship to me because of proximity to somebody who is an abuser. And everybody else in this group of people that I'm with is just accepting this abuser. Somebody who's abused their kids and their spouse. And everybody else is just like, oh, people make mistakes. No. Yeah, you make your mistake, fix your mistake. You don't get to be around my kid now. You don't get to be in my circle now. If you abuse somebody sexually, you're not in my circle anymore. If you abuse children, you're not in my circle anymore. And if you are in the circle with those people, I'm not in your circle anymore either. That's how we have to draw the lines. So many. The only thing I can assume is that everybody in here who's doing this, who does this shit every fucking day, every time we bring up that somebody's been sexually assaulted, literally the only thing I'm left to assume is that you do this shit, or you would do this shit, or you've been in a scenario where you've crossed a line and you yourself are afraid of what might happen if you ran for office. I can tell you, I was raised conservative in a cult. I was never taught about consent. I am very, very fucking fortunate that I was faithful enough to the religion that I grew up in, and that everybody around me was in that religion, that I didn't have sex. Not until I was much like in my 20s. I was in my like 22, 23 when I officially lost my virginity. But I can tell you for a fact that had I been sexually active, it is likely that I would have not considered consent because of the way that I was taught, because of the way that my religion views sex, because of the way that everybody talked about me. A good friend of mine, I hope she's here. You'll know who I'm talking about, that I went to high school with. She was sexually assaulted by a person that was in my friend group, and nobody believed her. Nobody. She became the pariah. I know for a fact that it happened. I've talked to him. I know for a fact from his mouth that it happened, and everybody I know still trashes her. And they trash her for the same reason that you guys do, because she had boyfriends that she'd mess around with. And they're like, oh, well, if she'll do that with her boyfriend, I guess it's just she's open for business. Her life was absolutely destroyed as like a 17-year-old, and that sticks with her now. She's 40. She can't go back to our hometown without getting that. That's what I'm led to assume. And it's true. Our culture has not done a good job explaining what consent is. You go back, like I grew up on John Wayne movies. I grew up watching like James Bond. There wasn't a whole lot of consent in those movies, right? And it was romanticized. Like James Bond, John Wayne, they hit women. They were like American heroes. They hit. I don't remember which John Wayne movie I was watching not that long ago, and I was like, holy shit, he just smacked that woman in the face. And watching the movie when I was younger, was like, yeah, she had it coming. She had it. You don't fuck with the Duke. It just seems like a lot of you want to go back to that era of no accountability, and this is what we're left with. We're left with now, like, this woman didn't want to go to the police because she sees how people are treated. She didn't want to do this story because she sees how people were treated. E. Jean Carroll could have come forward with Trump at any time. He had money. She could have sued him at any time for that money. When did she come forward? When he was going to be a prominent politician. And then she was like, I can't be silent anymore. At least publicly not silent. Same with this woman. She's saying it over and over again. Like, I didn't want to do this. I warned the people around. Like, I did my duty, that the people that were around Graham Plattner, I warned them that he's a problem. But now he's on a national stage. Now he's going to go in Washington. Like, are we going to sit here and pretend that Washington politicians aren't abusing people? Do we need to bring up Corey Mills? Corey Mills has abused like multiple women since he's been in office. He chairs the Armed Services Committee. The lawsuit against him was dropped. The accusation that he hit his girlfriend, not dropped. True, actually. Police confirmed it. She just refused to press charges. He hit a woman, and he chairs the Armed Services Committee. I'm pretty sure it's Armed Services Committee.
Conversations with Graham Plattner at the time of it, where she said, because apparently as part of this story, she says she even confirmed to him that this was not consent. Do you have that? What do you have that actually connects this literally?
That's a good point. Amy said, E. Jean only sued because Trump kept defaming her, and then she had no choice. That's true. YKSD said, it's sad our species hasn't evolved enough yet. Amy said, men, if you have to repeatedly ask, saying, please, come on, baby, that is not consent. Many men do not understand that.
Graham Plattner to raping this victim.
Peter said, 100% agree. I've got 3 daughters. We need more men like you. World would be a better place. I appreciate you saying that, Peter. I really do. It is such a pathetic thing that, like, we're begging for more men to just say, don't assault women. It's crazy that we have to beg for that. Kara says, thank you. It's a full stop. And W. Kara for the $50 over on Cash App. I appreciate that.
Yeah, she reached out to him the day after via Instagram, and essentially, told him that she didn't want to hear from him again. She told him that morning as well, and we looked at messages that she had sent to others in the months after this happened through social media.
I'm with you, but Papa said, no offense, Jay, but it is the bare minimum I'm doing. Yeah, it is. Dano says, the girl dad, I could not agree more. Doesn't it suck a little bit, Dano? I don't want to speak for you, but for me, like, it took having a girl to recognize the problem. It was as big as it was. Like, I'm complicit here too. They say it's all men. It's not. Like, it's still me. I'm still part of it. Like, it legitimately took me having a girl and then her growing into a situation now where she's out around other people, and I'm like, oh fuck. Then it hits a little differently.
See those DMs?
She tried to recover those DMs. We did not. We were not able to review those DMs, but she described them to us. We also, long before he was a political candidate, we saw her essentially explain to others that he was, quote, in her words, consensually careless, end quote.
Right, but were you able to see the interactions between Graham Plattner and this alleged victim? Did you actually physically see them? Did she produce them for you?
She attempted to uncover them. But was unable to.
Willie?
Plattner's literally what the left says Trump is. Yeah, this is the same exact thing that Trump did to E. Jean Carroll. Differences were cancel, like we're getting rid of Plattner.
So let's talk at this point.
So, Adam, in closing, obviously this is a huge political bombshell story, a story that probably will lead to the end of Graham Plattner's campaign.
Wrong. Oh yeah, it's wrong, guys. It's when it's Trump, then it's just wrong. The exact same evidence, but when it's Trump, it's wrong. Wrong. He hasn't stepped down yet, as far as I know. Not since before the live started.
And I'm going back to the decision to publish, and I'm curious what concrete.
That's a good point, Marlene. Trump is far worse because he way more accusations against Trump, and some of them with children. I do agree that Trump is worse.
Evidence. You have conversations with therapists, conversation with friends, but what took this story beyond Graham Plattner saying this was consensual, Jenny Rasco saying this was not consensual? What took it over the edge? And
if you walk into somebody's house uninvited, consent's gone. You walk into their bedroom uninvited, especially a man of Graham Plattner's size, consent is gone. It's now coerced. Now you're adding a new element to that. You're adding the element to what will happen if I say no here. Even if you give verbal consent, like you now have gotten rid of their ability to truly give consent because you're in their house. You were uninvited. You showed up in their bedroom. You're massive. You're drunk. Consent there's no longer consent that can be given there. You trap someone in a dressing room. Thank you, Amber. It's good to see you, by the way. I'm sure today is like many days where you're just reliving the horror that your aunt went through. But can we just start to understand this fucking shit? What's crazy is, like, I'll tell you this story. I didn't know this. A friend of mine has a partner who, when they got together, didn't disclose that they had an STD, and it's one of the ones that like doesn't go away. And I thought, holy shit, like obviously that's sexual abuse. In Arizona, that's not against the law. You are not required in Arizona to disclose that you have an STD before you have sex with somebody. It's legitimately like legalized sexual abuse. Look it up in most states. Look up your state right now. Look in your state. In your state, is it illegal to have sex with somebody and not disclose an STD? I was baffled. Most states, it's not. It is assault. Of course it's assault. But in our country, in most states, you can legally assault people. I thought that was federally legal. No, it's not.
Had you and your editors decide to publish, of course, kind of an earthquake in Democratic politics. What was the piece of evidence or pieces of evidence that made you sure of this story?
Yeah, I mean, long before he was a political candidate, long before much of the country knew his name.
Kentucky Constitution says Andy Bashir gets to appoint McConnell replacement. Oh, that's good news.
Jenny, in her telling, had confided in a number of people. We saw screenshots that she shared of messages relaying this account to others. We viewed an email response from her therapist to her, acknowledging that they had talked about this.
Those are the things I said, but those are what is the actual? Is there evidence between?
Based on the report, she had the right to Second Amendment him. Yeah. We need to reshape media to stop the dumb, hard to get trope. It confuses people, needs to die. Also mad disrespectful to women. She's saying no, but if you keep asking, she'll submit and say yes.
Between her and him, evidence
coercive
of a crime because he's being accused of rape. So what is what put this over the edge? Because he says he didn't, and he has people on his side who say he didn't. She says he did, and there are people, but none. I'm trying. What's the through line? What ties this together and gives you the evidence to bring this story to the point of publishable?
Yeah, we interviewed her.
Can I stop this real quick? I'm gonna step into this discussion, Hootie. This was not already out. You're trying to smear Ro Khanna right now, and this is you guys are fucking sick. This is about Graham Plattner, but I read the same fucking story Ro Khanna did, the same fucking story, and you're lying right now. This wasn't out. It came out yesterday. We did not know this. We knew that a Republican operative had said that, and other women had said that he was like aggressive, but we had no details. Nobody was willing to share their story. We had none of this. It all came out yesterday. Don't use, it's gross that you're even doing this. You're using Graham Plattner raping somebody to smear Ro Khanna. Why? Because billionaires need more fucking tax breaks. It's fucking gross. We didn't know this. We just didn't. Now, is it a fair criticism of Ro Khanna and frankly me that just having those accusations, we should have done more to distance ourselves from Plattner? Sure. That's a fair criticism. It's fair that maybe he should have made a stronger statement. I think you could say the same thing about me. But you can't pretend that everybody knew this shit. And especially coming from you, like of all people from you. Like, how many people currently in the United States Congress and on the Supreme Court are credibly accused of sexual assault and you don't care? And you're going to go after Ro Khanna? I don't know. How's this not the catalyst? This should be the catalyst for all of us to go, you know what? We need to clean up Washington. It shouldn't just, like, Graham Plattner's got to go. But so does everybody else. It's time to clean up all of these people. And it's just like, it's become this opportunity to smear people. I saw Fetterman on today like, well, this is why you don't elect communists. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know Donald Trump's a communist. Brett Kavanaugh's a communist. I didn't know Clarence Thomas is a communist. I didn't know Corey Mills is a communist. I didn't know that Matt Gaetz was a communist. I didn't know what's his name? Texas guy. What is his name? Paxton. I guess those are all communists too, right? Guys are fucking gross, man. The story here is that a woman was raped, and you're like, oh, I'd like to take this opportunity to try and smear Ro Khanna because he's been exposing that Donald Trump is a fucking pedophile protector. Let's smear Ro Khanna because he's really been landing some blows on Donald Trump. Let's make this about Ro Khanna because everything in your lives is about defending Donald Trump.
3 separate times. Her story stayed consistent across those times. We talked to people who she had spoken with contemporaneously about these attacks, and all of those stories lined up and checked out. And all
Pete Hegseth, yeah, good. Jim Jordan, yeah, thank you.
Ultimately,
Roy Moore,
Politico
yeah,
stands by our reporting, and we talked to people who corroborated her story largely.
The new reporting is online right now. Senior national politics correspondent for Politico, Adam Wren, thank you so much for getting up early and sharing this story with us. We appreciate it.
All right. I'm sure we'll have more on that. Hopefully Plattner announces he's out sometime today. That would be great. For all, I probably should have done a trigger warning there, but for everybody who's this brings up memories, traumatic memories for you. It fucking sucks, and there's nothing to say other than like we got to fix it. But you can see what we're up against. People are very, very afraid of this type of change, where women and children have the opportunity to have their own say and their own autonomy. So her name is Lindsay Fifield, and she came out in early June. She didn't provide. Let's look at this, Hootie. Let's talk about this then. What were her claims? Because we read this. And by the way, Hootie, for the record, do you think Donald Trump sexually assaulted any of the women that accused him? Before I pull this up, I just want to know, Hootie, do you think any of the women who accused Donald Trump were telling the truth? I need you on the record there, Hootie. I'll get rid of you if you don't answer this, Hootie. I'm going to get rid of you. You can't stay here if you're going to do this shit. No, I'm just wondering, Hootie. Before I play, I just want to know because I'm trying to figure out what your standard of evidence is. I'll be transparent here. You seem to have a very weird standard of evidence. What I think this really is, Hootie, is that you don't actually care about this, but we do. And so you're trying to use it as a way to like knock Democrats or progressives. But yes or no, do you believe any of the women who accused Donald Trump gave credible accusations? And if it's just yes or no, and if you can't answer that, we're gonna have to get rid of you. I'm tired of these bitch ass men who like won't stand on anything. I'm just here to play party politics. Don't be a bitch. Nah, I've known he's a POS for a while. You were just late to the party and your ego is hurt. Last time, did Donald Trump, do you believe any of the accusations against Donald Trump, Hootie? Oh, wait. I don't play party politics, DH. Shut the fuck up. I hate the Democrats. What are you talking about? Yes, Donald Trump did it too. Okay, great. Perfect. All right, so I'm not late to the Plattner story. I covered this story. In June. I wasn't late to it. Here's the story. Maine Senate hopeful Graham Plattner is a woman. Let's see. Who wrote this? This is the political one. Is a woman hater who once twisted an ex-girlfriend's arm and fantasized about killing people and raping intruders, according to a slew of women who've come forward about his disturbing behavior. The Democrat candidate who's been endorsed by progressives like Senator Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders, as well as Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, yada, yada, yada. Nazi Ted. Let's get to the charges here. Sorry, just because we've already covered this. I'm not trying to poo-poo those other things. 3 of Plattner's ex-girlfriends recounted their troubling time dating the Marine veteran to the New York Times, with the women describing him as someone who hated women and would call them hatchet wounds in the latest scandal to dog his campaign. He said this a lot. If anybody ever broke in here, I would rape them, said Lindsay Field. He was like, I would rape them to show them that I'm dominant. Anybody broke in here? What's he talking about? I don't remember what that is. Plattner once twisted Fifield's arm during an argument before he shoved her in a bedroom and wouldn't let her leave until she was calm, she claimed. It hurt. It didn't cause an injury. It didn't break my arm. Plattner disputed Fifield's claims, referring to Fifield, a Republican campaign worker from Virginia, as a lifelong GOP operative who dedicated her career to electing Republicans, which is true, but doesn't take away credibility. But Fifield brushed off of the response, insisting her time with him was so disturbing that she would speak up no matter what party he was running under. I know what it looks like to a bitter ex-girlfriend, Republican trying to take down a Democrat. It has nothing to do with that. So that's what we reported. And we said, let's see, she said that she could provide evidence, and we were waiting on that. And that's where we left Graham Plattner. We're like, these are troubling accusations. We believe that those accusations should be heard out. Let's see the evidence. Now we have this. Now we have actual evidence. Now it's time. There's evidence plus an accusation. We believed it then. We believe it now. Now there's evidence that is irrefutable that he needs to step down. If you want to say I was slow on that, that's fair. I think that there was a part of me that really wanted to believe the Graham Plattner change story, and I think that like his politics obviously changed, but his treatment of women doesn't seem to have changed. Let's see what you say, Amber. You were late to the story when you voted for Trump after he's found liable. Hootie, did you vote for Trump? Did he say he voted for Trump? That's a wild criticism to lie. You did. Oh, okay. Well, then what's the criticism here? What do you help me understand that? What's the criticism here? Like you're hammering Dems for doing what you did? What was your question, Amber? What's the criticism here? You just hate Ro Khanna? The moral high ground you think you stand on does not exist. This isn't a moral. What do you mean? I was one of the biggest Graham Plattner supporters. I've completely abandoned him. I would never vote for him. I've told everybody that in Maine that they should vote for Susan Collins if that's what it came down to. I do have moral high ground with you. You voted for the abuser. I would never vote for the abuser. I do have the moral high ground with you. What are you talking about? You don't seem to have morals. You excuse it when it's somebody from your political party. I don't. All right. Okay, we'll leave it there. I appreciate it. Amber, always good to see you. Take care of yourself. Mods, if it gets wild, take care of it, will you? He was vetted and the Dems knew they supported him, and that's my point. No, they didn't. No, that's another lie too. What you could in fact I watched it this morning. Did I save this? This didn't come up in his vetting. They interviewed the people that vetted him. And this didn't come up. Now you're just lying. And she even said that she didn't talk to anybody. She herself said that she didn't talk to anybody. Here it is. These are this guy's bizarre, by the way. I don't know I forget his name. Some wealthy donor. They're kind of the ones that saw Graham Plattner, knew his story, and they're like, this guy's a winner. They're lying. I really don't. How would this accusation have come up? Like the person making the accusation is on the record saying that this is the first time she's publicly making the accusation. There's no way anybody would know this until she publicly made the accusation through Politico. Like she has said this herself. Like they're not gonna. There's no police report here. There's no way that anybody knew these details. It's giving they knew but didn't think it had come out. It may be on some other stuff. You might be right on some other stuff. Like they are being a little bit obtuse here. But like for this specific accusation, she has said that this is the first time that she put it out there.
I think if what the voters wanted were people who were grown in vats and had never.
So this guy doesn't believe the victim in that she was forced upon, then tried to pretend she did something she didn't. Random chatter hates me. Yeah. He doesn't care about the victim at all. He just wants to go after Ro Khanna.
Done or said anything that they might regret their entire lives, we'd have a very different country. Part of our.
How'd the tattoo get by? Honestly, I don't think the tattoo by itself was disqualifying. In retrospect, looking back in hindsight, like I do think that it gives I don't know, it adds more to the questionable character of Plattner. But I held a lot of the same views Plattner did, and I don't now. So by itself, I think people can change their views, and I think indoctrination is a very real thing. He came out of the military. It's an incredibly misogynistic environment. He was online on Reddit all the time, which is another like extremely misogynistic environment. And not to say that any of that stuff is okay, but I do think that people can change. Like all the best people I know in my life were like best men I know in my life, were like at some point like pretty shitty. some point held some pretty shitty views. So I don't think that by itself was disqualifying. But I think they said that didn't even come up, which is it's a pretty bad vetting process. I'm knowing about this and bearing it. Nobody knew about this specific allegation. If you want to criticize Ro Khanna, who did campaign with Plattner one day after the first set of accusations came out, fine. That's a fair criticism. Ro Khanna can answer for himself on that. I don't think that is disqualifying. If you want that to be disqualifying, then like disqualify the whole Republican Party. That's fine. It would disqualify me too. I think there's a lot of us who probably need to do some reflection on why we didn't take it more seriously. That could be me too. That fair? But some of you could too. Get a girlfriend, bro. I got one. Thank you. Thanks for bringing that up. I think she's listening right now. What's up? We didn't say her name, but I think text me if you did. She just made fun of me just a second ago for saying black cock. So take that. And I still fuck your dad for money. She's cool with that too. So that's a pretty good girlfriend, right? I'd say fucking your dad pays for all of our dates. I love it. Tell dad I said, what's up? Cookie said, in my 49 years, I've learned the one unifying force between religions, politics, race, or nation is the hatred of women. God damn, that is true. Dark City said, Dems need a better vetting process. Collins seat was a layup. Plattner, Swalwell, Fetterman, Cinema. We need to check the folks. I don't see the rest of that, but yeah, I agree with you. I mean, Plattner's story was just like it's a compelling story. I think that what you're saying is probably correct. I think, and what these donors are saying is like we fell in love with the story. People wanted somebody who was imperfect, and if you're going to have somebody that's imperfect, that's fine. But because nobody's perfect, but make sure you've sorted through everything. I think just I mean, he's yeah. It's not Hoofy. I don't know who Hootie is. Do I know Hootie? I don't know who Hootie is. I don't think. Maybe. All right. Let's talk about the people that do get some courage and leave MAGA. MS
there
Now
have been some signs of
had this segment, which was really interesting, is they interviewed people who have got up and left MAGA. One of the best movie nights we had was the when we watched what's it called, The Indoctrination of My Dad or something like that. I have not spoken to my parents at length about their decision to leave MAGA. I think they're still conservative, but about 6 months ago, in talking to my mom, she just kind of told me I don't have like my dad and I don't talk a whole lot, but she told me, she's like, yeah, your dad hates Donald Trump, like absolutely hates Donald Trump. I can't stand him either. Like I hate what the Republican Party has become. I'm going up there next month. We're going to have longer conversations, so I hope to get into that. But it's always interesting to hear the people that leave, and they all have a common thread. The brainwashing of my dad, thank you. The common thread for all of them is that they had to remove themselves from like the pressure cooker and from the echo chamber. You have to get out of that. You have to remove yourself. And then they all talk about an experience that many of us have had who have left like either a cult or organized religion or a political party where we've been lied to and we've been deceived. Like there's a lot of anger, and it's really hard. I've dealt with this. Like it's been really hard to like move out and then like keep that anger when the people that you've loved forever like won't see it clearly, right? When they just continue to lie to themselves or believe lies. This is a really interesting segment by MS Now, who, by the way, ever since not being MSNBC, have gotten significantly better at doing like real journalism instead of just like straight up political hackery.
That President Trump's MAGA base might be fracturing. MS Now correspondent David Noriega talked recently with a group of former Trump supporters who are now separating from the president about what pushed them out of the MAGA movement.
When you were a part of the MAGA movement, how deep were you?
I was as deep as anyone could have been. I was an aspiring MAGA pundit. I had bylines in places like Fox and The Federalist. I spoke at Trump groups. I was a donor on the campaign. I was unapologetically a MAGA and Trump supporter.
Rich Logus is the founder and CEO of
good point. The same thing happens when you deconstruct whiteness. Yeah.
MAGA, a nonprofit for those disillusioned by the movement. The group, which Logus says is funded entirely by small donors, provides support groups, de-radicalization resources, and a platform for members to share their experiences. To get a better understanding of what makes people leave MAGA, we heard from an array of the group's members.
I grew up really poor, so a lot of my friends' parents would be responsible for helping me get to prom or making sure I had, new shoes for school, and they were all MAGA. And it was very much this constant conversation of, if you want to have nice things, be a Republican.
That was the way I grew up. There's this quote that goes around with conservatives all the time. That's like, when you're young, you're a progressive or a liberal, and then you grow up and you become a conservative. And that's true, but not for the reasons that that I think people think. It's been my realization is that, and I've watched my own friends, like my friends that were progressive that became conservative, especially that live in Utah, they just stopped learning. That's actually what happens, is they just stop learning. That's all adult conservatives. At some point, they decide, no new information. It's just all rhetoric. Cut taxes, be a Republican. That's the most important thing. And then it's just all feel from there. That's what actually happens. That's how people become conservative. Conservatism, by definition, is lazy. It means to conserve, to stay the same, to not change anything. It is lazy. It is what people do when they don't want to address real concerns. That's you think about all of the problems this country has. The conservative solution for every problem we have is to either go backwards or not change anything. They never have like some sort of like new solution. It's always, how are we going to pay down the debt? Cut taxes, cut regulation. Okay. What are we going to do about racism? Let's just pretend it doesn't exist. It's ever. How are we going to fix healthcare? We need to increase, decrease regulation and increase competition. Okay. You've been saying that for 30 years. All right, well, we also need to get rid of the lines around the states. And then they never do anything. Conservatism is just like, it's a synonym for being lazy. It's a synonym for closing your mind. So it's true, but think about everybody you know. Like, how many people do you know in their 40s who are truly open-minded about everything? Not very many people, right? How many people do you know that like post 40 have like a sudden change in like whatever it might be, whether it be politics, whether it be like their views on feminism, their views on socialism or capitalism or fascism? Like, how many people do you know in their 40s that are just constantly learning? Not that many, right? It becomes confirmation bias. Confirmation bias is easy. That's how people get so filthy fucking rich, like the manosphere specifically. It's just a bunch of people recycling the same shit I've heard my whole life. I read How to Win Friends and Influence People, and every self-help book since then is just basically how to win friends and influence people over and over again, but updated for like modern terminology. And a lot of the way that people are taught to be happy and to have successful lives is to, thank you, Amy, perfect, is to be ignorant. Focus on what you can control. It's good advice as far as like being able to not be bogged down by the world's problems. Just focus on what you can control. Cool. But there's people out there that need help. There's people out there who don't have the ability to use their own voice. So there's people that need other voices with them. And conservatism says, do not give them a voice. Keep things exactly the same. Progressives say, help those people get a voice. And that's the true disconnect in our country. You can throw all the other shit aside. The true disconnect isn't Democrat, Republican. It's there are people who want change, who want to make things better, and there are people who want to say, America's the greatest, we can't change anything. And it's a battle between those two people. And no matter what political topic you bring up, that is the case. Pick up what divides us. What divided us in the last election? How about the treatment of trans people? Boil the arguments down to the two arguments. Progressives believe that trans people should be able to identify how they want and be treated respectfully and equally. Conservatives believe that trans people should not be allowed to exist publicly, right? They should have to exist how conservatives are comfortable with. How about taxes? We have $39 trillion in debt. Republicans are like, what if we just let's just keep cutting taxes? That'll fix it. And progressives are like, we got to cut spending and we've got to increase taxes and we've got to make wealth inequality. We've got to fix wealth inequality so that the tax base grows. There's not a single issue that Republicans run on that isn't just like, hey, we don't want to learn new stuff. Energy policy, let's just stick with oil. We know oil. We're good at oil. Let's just stick with oil. Maybe we should do coal too. We know coal too. Well, renewable energy is cheaper than coal and we're producing more renewable energy than coal. Yeah, but we know coal. So let's just get rid of renewable energy. 72 and still learning. Love that, DNC Warrior. I hope to be exactly like you when I'm 72 years old.
Wanted acceptance with my father, and my father was very much into Fox News, so that was something that we would connect on.
I became heavily indoctrinated into trad wife culture. We were all absolutely fine with household voting, and that
Right, so just to clarify, for people who don't know, household voting means the woman does not vote.
So the SAVE Act, in essence, is to take that right away from women.
In 2015 and 16, I felt that the two parties were the same. And even though Trump ran as a Republican, I was very enticed by his outsider status.
When you heard Trump claim that the election had been stolen, were any of you like, yeah, they stole this election, Trump won?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I did believe that the election was stolen. I believe that the riots were actually, those were patriots. Until I actually switched off Fox News and started getting my news from other places, my information.
Isn't that crazy? I believed it until I turned off Fox News. It's remarkable what happens when somebody is forced to turn off Fox News. Well, I won't tell that story. That'll take too long.
That's when it finally hit.
Diversifying their news turned out to be a common factor in leaving MAGA.
I met my now husband in 2021, and they made me watch a documentary on January 6th, and I didn't even know what happened on January 6th prior to the PBS documentary. And I looked at him and I said, Scott, did that really happen? And he was like, where have you been?
It's not easy to believe something firmly and then come to the conclusion that you've been wrong for many years. Was that hard for you?
Yes, yeah. That was something that I just couldn't square because I couldn't be wrong because I consider myself intelligent.
You know, I had believed that when Trump ran that he would be somebody who would be different as an outsider. I think that he was correct in pointing out a lot of the flaws of our political system. It just turned out, unfortunately, that he didn't try to solve those or remedy those ills, that he exacerbated them.
Hearing you guys talk about MAGA and about supporting Trump, it sounds like you're talking often about like a cult that's damaging.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Isn't that crazy? How come everybody that leaves winds up talking about it like it's a cult?
Yeah.
But he's the president of...
It's because it's a cult.
The United States, and it's not a cult. It's like the dominant political ideology of the United States in this moment.
And what MAGA does provide is a place where people feel seen and heard and validated. We used to say, we're not in the cult, the outside world is the cult, and we're not the crazies, the outside world are the crazies.
The group says that leaving MAGA often means losing relationships with loved ones, but it also teaches them to approach those loved ones with empathy.
When I left MAGA...
Okay, this is the part that is, I'm going to lose a lot of you. And again, I have privilege here. I'm not as affected as a lot of people by the MAGA movement. As far as like demographically, I'm the least affected by the MAGA movement. I recognize that as a white dude. Like, the effect they have on me is the least amount of any demographic. That being said, people are naturally fearful, and people naturally fear change, especially conservatives. And so for a lot of people, this is where they wind up, is they wind up doubting it, but they can't leave because it's their entire support system. It's exactly the same as like leaving when I left the Mormon church. A good friend of mine who's the one that kind of like walked me through it, he's still to this day, he's like, I miss church. Like I actually missed the community there. I liked going to church. I liked going to these activities. Like I liked being around these people, but like I couldn't be there anymore because it was so obviously like fake and harmful in a lot of ways, and it fucked his business up a little bit too. But that's the hard part. A lot of people will just sit there. I mean, Dano, you're here. Dano's former Mormon too. Like you and I both know 50 people who don't believe in the Mormon church anymore, and they show up every Sunday and pretend that they do because it's literally their entire community. And when you leave, you are completely ostracized. You are the villain. Like I'm the villain. I lost almost everybody in my life just by leaving the Mormon church and then the Republican Party all within a year. I'd like just completely start over and rebuild. Yep, you lost me, former MAGA. I don't care. Well, I know you don't care, but can I just say, like, you've never had like bad, like you've never done something wrong. You've never been misinformed on something. Again, I've got privilege. I've got a different perspective. It's a lot easier for me to say this than some other people, and you got a kind of like a pretty generic screen name. So I don't know, based on your demographic, maybe anything that you've gone through, but I have, but it didn't affect an entire country. Okay, well, how do you fix it then? Because these people have to go somewhere. When this ends, they've got to go somewhere. What do we do? Again, recognizing, and I'm legitimately asking this. I'm not trying to be argumentative here because I think that my perspective here lacks a lot of context that many of you have that I don't. But like, what do we do? Deport them. Being wrong for 10 plus years and 3 votes is really pushing it. I hear you, but again, the next question is, what do you do? What do you do next? I live in a small Alabama town, and I'm proudly displaying a Doug Jones for Alabama Governor yard sign, but I've noticed a lot of MAGA merch has disappeared. I wouldn't. You wouldn't what? You wouldn't. Where did those who were complacent in Germany go? I mean, listen, as much as I agree that Trump is fascist, like most of the people in Germany, the people like this didn't go to jail in Germany. It was the people who actually committed the atrocities. These are voters. These are citizens. These folks in Germany that stood by as the Holocaust happened, nothing happened to them. Listen, I understand. This is the frustrating part, I think, for a lot of people politically. I'm asking for a real solution. Like, what do we do? It seems that I don't know how you heal as a country if when we say, what do we do? How do we fix this? Everybody says, we just stay pissed. You know, like, fuck them. I don't think that makes anything better. I think that makes things significantly worse. Yeah, we heal together. And what do? I don't have any sympathy left, and I'm not begging someone to act human. Okay, then what do we do? Just stay mad? We're just mad the rest of our life? We're just divided and mad the rest of our life because we're out of energy? You don't have to do anything. We don't. But then nothing changes, right? We should require them to ask for forgiveness from all of America on their knees. Yeah, I guess. How's that going to go? Somebody's saying Nuremberg. Yeah, Nuremberg was for people who committed like heinous war crimes. I'm fine with some of the people who have committed war crimes. But we're not asking for that. We're talking about people who don't, like, these people didn't know. This woman didn't know about January 6th. She was indoctrinated. This woman right here was poor, and the people that had money kept telling her the reason they had money is because they were Republican. She didn't know. Are you saying that if you're sitting in a room face to face with these people, you'd be like, fuck you forever? You would stare them in the face and just say, fuck you forever? I'm just reading the chat. Nowhere says our country's crap because of these people. Yes, I would. Okay. I mean, look, as a progressive, it just doesn't jive. Like that doesn't. How do you square that? How do you square that as a progressive who says like I consistently want to make sure I consistently want to do things that make our community, our country, and our existence better? And then when that thing turns out to be that you have to work with people who have been diabolically opposed to what you stand for, you're like, that's too far. Again, I have a lot of privilege here. I'm not trying to judge. I'd like to have that conversation. Like, how do you square that? How do you square this idea that like we need to consistently progress and get better, and also like, fuck that, we'll never do anything? Like that sounds like a pretty conservative value to me. Bring up a good point. I guess I just need time. So, yeah, dude, the hardest thing in the fucking world is to, like, I don't share that much of my personal life, but like the last year, 9 months has been the worst 9 months of my entire life personally. Like the amount of people in my life who have just done horrific things, and just like tried to bury me has been almost unbearable at times. But I don't, the people that bury, the people that try to that do that type of shit, like what am I'm going to ask for, like I'm going to expect them to fix it? They're not going to fix it. They're the same people trying to bury me. I have to. And some of that has included me like legitimately apologizing for shit that I'm not sorry about. Or apologizing for the way that I phrased something that I'm not sorry about. I have ADHD. For any of my folks here with ADHD, and this might be a symptom of ADHD, and maybe maybe this is why I feel so strongly about this, and maybe a lot of you don't have this feeling because you're wired differently. That's fine too. I can accept that. But like, I don't like things unresolved. It eats me the fuck up. Like if I get in an argument with somebody that I care about, or somebody that has been a big part of my life, as long as that goes unresolved, it will eat at me every single day. And the longer it eats at you, the more miserable you become. And I think that there's a part of that in this country, and I think what's going to happen is that we will fix it. But I think it's going to take everything crashing down. And there's two reasons for that. Number one, the people that aren't like these five folks who are going to ride the wave until it crashes and collapses. And when it crashes and collapses, they'll have no choice but to admit, oh, fuck, we crashed the bus. And then there are those who have been like the whole time with the signs like, you're going to crash. You're going to crash the fucking bus. And then the bus crashes. And I think when everybody is fucked, that the people who were riding the bus will be like, all right, I'm not doing this anymore. And the people that were holding the signs will feel too bad to kick people when they're down. I do believe in humanity. I do believe in human beings. And I do believe, I believe like people can change. And I think that that's what's going to happen. But I think that kind of also sucks. This type of shit right here, what's happening on screen, is a good thing. I feel like that's the appropriate place to stand right now. And again, understanding privilege, understanding that life is easier for me than so many other people who the Trump administration's affect. Like, the Trump administration basically affects me because I lost some friends. And that's basically the extent of it for me as a white man, right? Like, I make my money on the internet. It's easier as a white dude on the internet. I am criticizing Trump, so people will naturally come to this show because I'm criticizing Trump. You could argue that it's a good thing for me, right? Financially. The worst thing that's happened to me is I've lost some friends, but some people have lost lives. Some people have lost family members. Some people have lost rights. Some people have lost the ability to control their own reproductive system, to identify how they want to. Some people have literally lost food, like the food that they need to survive. People have lost medical care that they need to survive. People have legitimately died because of these cuts. So I understand, like, on the totem pole of people who have been absolutely shit on, like, I'm nowhere near the bottom. So I don't want to, I don't, like, it's easy to preach from my soapbox. But I also know that some of you are just like me. Some of you who are holding those firm positions look like me, are affected just like me. And so for those who haven't, like, it's just like a frustration and you've lost friends, like, that's harder for me to swallow. Be like, hey, come on, man. It sucks, but it could be worse. And so there's people like us with privilege that, like, have to, I've said this before, like, it's going to be people like us. And when I say us, like me, who have privilege, that, like, we're going to have to navigate, like, a soft landing spot while also being sensitive to those who have been aggrieved and who have been hurt. But there has to be a plan forward. Otherwise, I mean, where do you go? It's not going to be a very good country, because it's at some point, if we stay on this road, and we're headed there right now. You all know this. You all know that there's a real scenario where Donald Trump they could lose the midterms, and Mike Johnson could just stand up and be like, we're not going to seat the Democrats. The Democrats who won are not going to be seated. We believe the election was stolen. And what are you going to do? And Trump says, yeah, it was stolen. We're not seating them. Even if, let's say the Supreme Court steps in. There's a real scenario where Trump just says, fuck that. We're staying. That's a real thing that could happen. I'm not predicting that it's going to happen. For my MAGA friends here, I'm not saying that it's going to happen. But open your mind. Could it happen? Could Trump functionally take control of the government? Yes. Don't give him ideas. I didn't. I read it from Project 2025. I'm stealing their ideas. These are all Tim Pool's ideas. Like, that's a real scenario where we could go. And frankly, like, if you had the wrong people, in my opinion, in charge on the left, it could go that same direction on the left, where it's just like, nah, fuck this, we're in charge. End of democracy. And once you go down that road, and once you're putting in, like, a dictator or a king, it's kind of over for you as being a great country. And, like, we're kind of at that tipping point where we could go one way or the other. We could try and fix it, salvage it, and that's going to take a lot of people burying hatchets and letting go of a lot of shit. Or, like, we're like, well, maybe the left will be the dictators, maybe the right will be the dictators, and we go that way. Right now, it feels an awful lot closer to, are we going to choose a left or right dictator? That's where it feels like we're going. And if I'm one of those conservatives, I'm like, oh, I want the dictator on the right. And if I'm one of those liberals, I'm like, I want the dictator on the left. So I don't know. I don't have the answers. I appreciate you guys letting me vent. Feels like therapy. Amy said, I do not think we should try to coerce people into forgiving. I forgive, but my sister will die never forgiving. She has reasons that are personal. She will never forgive those who supported a man who we know committed SA. Yeah, I don't think that, and maybe I haven't been clear, I don't give a fuck if anybody forgives anybody. There are things people have done to me in the last year that I will never forgive. But I will move on. And I'll move on for the sake of my own mental health and for the sake of the good of everybody that's involved. I will move on, and I will not let that be the driver of my anger and the driver of my day. I don't think that we have to ask anybody to forgive. And I don't think we have to ask anybody to forget. But I do think, like, where we have to get to is almost an agree to disagree. Like, how do we fix this? How do we go about now fixing this stuff? I agree. Some things are unforgivable. That's fine. And that's like a personal thing. Contrition. Yeah, contrition. But the thing is like, if you gave me the option of if every conservative will get on board for like doing universal health care, having a progressive tax system, ending Citizens United, rebalancing the courts. If every conservative was on board with that, I would say I'll take it. If you added in the caveat that they have to apologize and show contrition, and then all those same conservatives said, I'm not going to apologize and I'm not going to show contrition, I would not stand my ground on that. I would say, okay, fine, fuck, do your thing. I still want those 4 things. I'm still in a better position if you agree to those 4 things. Asking Americans to apologize, good luck. Asking Americans to show contrition, like with all the atrocities we've committed around this world, good luck with that. I don't think you have to like people. I don't think you have to trust people. I don't think you have to give them positions of trust. I don't think you have to let them in your community, in your circle, whatever. There's just going to come a point where we've got to say, like, there's got to be some way to at least collectively fix the stuff that we can fix.
MAGA, like I said, I kicked the door open and jumped through. I had a heart full of hate, so I would just go on the offensive and attack anybody and everybody that still supported it. And I've learned over time that that's not going to change anybody. In fact, it's going to push people over. So I've learned to be that empathy, that voice of concern, that caring voice. You can do this. I did it.
That's what impacted me. And again, white man to white man there, like, he said it was destroying him. He tried to attack everybody with anger, and it didn't do any good. So at some point, he realized, like, I have to just eat my anger here, and I've got to do the right thing. Jen said, our movement applauds Mom Donnie for hiring an ex-felon, but we can't forgive other people who are now waking up and taking accountability. With you, Jen. I'd rather, honestly, the way I view my life is I would rather be occasionally disappointed than to always assume the worst. Again, privilege. I get that. There's not that many people who are a threat to me. Amy's. Oh, I think I read that one already. Thank you, Amy.
MS Now correspondent David Noriega with that report, and at least a fascinating one. President Trump has undeniably broken.
No, I'm not saying that, Sarah. Sarah said, so we just talked about the hard line in the sand of SA, but then we forgive those who move on from the supporters of a man who SA'd a couple women. Let me see if I can offer like an example of what I'm talking about, Sarah, because I think that's a fair criticism. Let's just say Donald Trump, for example. Let's say Donald Trump tomorrow, let's say after the midterms. Let's say Democrats win the midterms, and but they don't have like a super majority. And they're going to need Donald Trump to sign their bills into law, and they get single-payer health care. Okay, we have single-payer health care, and it's on Donald Trump's desk, and he can veto it, and we don't have a veto-proof majority in the Senate, so we're not going to be able to override a veto there, right? Let's say Donald Trump comes out and says, "Hey, look, I will not veto this. I'll sign this into law, but you have to let me put my name back on the Kennedy Center." I do it. I wouldn't say, fuck you, I fucking hate Donald Trump. I would never, ever negotiate with you because he has leverage there, right? I would say, that sucks. I don't like that. We'll address that later on. Fair enough. I'll take that deal. The collective good of single-payer healthcare matters a hell of a lot more to me than like how gross it is that I have to see Donald Trump's name next to Kennedy's name on the Kennedy Center. Does that make sense? Again, what Donald Trump has done is unforgivable to me. Like I would never forgive Donald Trump for what he's done. But if I was forced to sit down with Donald Trump to come up with solutions to fix things, I would do it. I would rather things be better than not better, just because of like my own personal feelings. That's what I'm saying. That make sense, Sarah? Like, I would hate every second of that. Red says, your moderator is making terrible generalized statements that all men are disgusting, was called out for it, and doesn't want to take accountability that generalized statements support systems of oppression. I've been watching your conversation, by the way. I think you're talking about Casey. Let me tell you about Casey. And what she's saying. The expression of it's all men does not mean that all men are rapists. It means, and I've seen you actually acknowledge this, Red, in your comments. I haven't been getting involved, but I've seen you actually acknowledge in your comments, and other people have acknowledged that are on your side, that like, as a woman, you suspect, or you're going to be weary of all men until this problem is fixed. That's what it means. It means that all men are suspect. M says all men are disgusting. I don't know. By the way, if you're a lesbian, you might think that. Or if you don't want it, you can think all men are disgusting. I don't know. What are you so upset about? I think you're talking about Casey. It's Casey, right, that we're talking about here? Is it you, Casey? I think it was you. He's mad at Casey, who didn't even make the original comment. Okay. Well, I'm sorry that somebody said all men are disgusting. It's a bummer, bud. I don't know what to do about that. What did you want me to do about it? Thing is, I would say typical woman move, but that's a generalized statement. I don't agree with those. Yeah, it is a typical woman. In fact, it needs to be more typical. I think that women say it's all men. I think that should be more typical. And unfortunately, I grew up in a society, and we just watched this video where they're like, no, men are not a problem. I don't know. Sorry, bud. I'm not sure exactly what you're asking me for.
He's been fighting with Casey, calling her a troll. So Casey timed him out. And now he created a new account to come back in and have a tantrum. So,
well, good luck in your argument. That's what the chat's for. You guys are allowed to argue, and my mods use their discretion. So, sorry, dude. Now everybody's saying I'm a proud slut. I don't even know what that is, but now we're we're proud sluts, which I agree. Be a proud slut. If you're a slut, be a proud one. Be proud of what you do. All right. I don't remember what that was just the explanation of the rest of this. We are not cruising day. Just a reminder, guys, we are crowdfunded, even by Red. I appreciate the donation there. That's how we pay our bills, keep the lights on here, keep this chat open for you guys. And if you can help us knock out that gift goal by the end of the live, which is in about an hour and a half, that would be greatly appreciated. We also want to remind you that we have a members only event tomorrow night. It's going to be movie night. If you want to join us for that, you need to be a paid member either on TikTok, YouTube, or Twitch, and then message Jen, JENNDUBB1 on Discord, and she'll get you your account set up so that you can join the members only movie night with us. Right now, the only suggestion I saw was, what was it called, Jen? It's something with Ryan Gosling. Project Hail Mary. That's what it is. So far, that's the only.
There's a bunch of them, right?
Well, from today. And then we had Mountainhead from before. Good Night and Good Luck was an option. I guess we can throw the campaign back on there. August Rush. Outlast the Jungle. That was from Ash. Look at those. So, yeah, it's a long movie. I don't know how much time we have. Okay. Trump had a weird meeting with Erdogan from Turkey, who is a monster. And Trump was asked some questions about the Russia-Ukraine war. I don't like. Trump is obviously just Putin's puppet. He's just staying out of the way. He said he would fix this on day one. Obviously, he's not going to. But I thought this was a real peek into Donald Trump and kind of what we've been talking about all day today, what conservatism is. Conservatism is basically just ignoring things that are problematic and focusing on the stuff that makes you feel good.
Why do you think that? What conditions have changed? Did Putin seem
About with what?
Russia, Ukraine. Did Putin seem open to any concessions that he
Never
had?
changed.
She asked why he seemed optimistic that they could get the war in Ukraine to finish, basically.
Just don't want him killing people. You know, it doesn't affect the United States. When Biden was here, he gave.
It does, though. We just talked about this from Chris Wright. It directly impacted LNG prices and oil prices. It directly affects the United States. In fact, later on, he talks about Greenland, which the reason we're talking about Greenland is because of Russia, but whatever.
Them hundreds of billions of dollars worth of equipment. Now I sell the equipment for, fair price.
We sold the equipment before, too.
Full price. And I sell it not to Ukraine, I sell it to the European Union. They pay us. But with me, it's not anything to do other than I'd like to save lives. You have 25, 35, 30. One time it hit 41,000 a month souls. They're dead. They leave their mother in Ukraine. They leave their mother and father in Russia, Ukraine. They wave goodbye. And a week later, they're dead. It's crazy. And I would like to see. It doesn't affect us.
Huh is the right question. What the fuck is he talking about?
It's far away. It affects Europe much more. We're there to help Europe. But it doesn't affect the United States. We have an ocean in between.
It does not affect the United States.
But, it's just, I can't stand watching what's happening. I've seen the pictures of those battlefields, and it's a drone war. It's a war of drones. It's a whole new technology. And we're actually the leader in drones now. We have the most sophisticated drones, but people...
In the middle of talking about like people being murdered, he's like, let me brag for a second. I do need to brag for a second. He's the most braggadocious egomaniac we've ever had.
People wouldn't
What is it? It's a commercial for his sons? Yeah, maybe.
believe how violent it is. And I've seen the battlefields. They send me pictures. I actually want to say, don't send them to me. Pete, this man right here sends me pictures. Pete Hegseth. And I said, Pete, you know what? Doesn't help to look. I've never seen anything like it. It's carnage. And it should stop.
Yeah. I just don't want to see it. So much gold in this. Yeah. I don't remember where this one was. He didn't solve that on day one. I don't know, MAGA. What do we do about that? I don't know how you guys square that. He just makes up wars that he settles. Still, the Israel, the war in the Gaza Strip still happening. Fucking the Iran war is still happening. And all these wars that he keeps claiming he settled, the ones that he had nothing to do with are settled. Anyone that he's touched is not settled. They're still happening. Thank you, Mr. P. Release all the unredacted Trumpstein files. That'd be nice. That'd be cool. If you turned on Fox News this weekend, you know that they celebrated the 4th of July by screaming about communists. This was Harris Faulkner with revisionist history. I just wanted to show this. And Republicans, can you just talk to your talking heads? Can you just reach out to them so that we don't have to do this every day? Could they all take a day off and just learn what communism is, what socialism is, and what democratic socialism is? That would be so cool, because then we wouldn't have to do this every day. You would think, talking about communism this often, that they would understand what any of these words mean.
Yeah, the message of socialism is one thing. And
anything he touches turns to shit. Yeah, but then he spray paints it gold.
Yeah, the message of socialism is one thing, and Democrats are going to have to deal with not just a divided party. They're being overtaken. They are literally outnumbered at this point. At least what the primaries are showing us, the potential is there to see some of them on Capitol Hill. But the idea of communism is something that President Trump has been talking about for a while, because he understands that they are a side-by-side. He knows the history of socialism.
And the anti-Semitism, too, don't you think?
Let's see if they do know the history of socialism and anti-Semitism.
Absolutely. So once you, well...
By the way, who are the most famous anti-Semites? It's the Nazis, right? Those are the most famous anti-Semites. They did the whole genocide thing. That whole Holocaust. Who was fighting against the Nazis to stop the Holocaust? Was it the communists? Was it the socialists? And was it the anti-fascists? It sure was. How do you square that, MAGA? Your enemies are the exact same enemies of Nazi Germany. How do you square that? If you're just doing ideology, right? Because you guys always love ideology. The whole damn world just about. Yeah, except for who wasn't, Mark? Who wasn't fighting with Germany? How about the Italians? Eventually they flipped when they gave up fascism, right? Italians were on their side. The Japanese. USSR was also fascist. Oh, they were? Oh. I don't... really, the USSR was not fascist. They had a dictator. They were not fascist, though. Right? We got to get that word correct. But Hitler was locking up communists and socialists as well. What did the Italians do to Mussolini? Don't look it up. Whatever you do. Thank you, Red, for the super chat. Electric Dad said this coming from a guy who demolished a school. Yeah, good point. Yeah, USSR was an autocracy. Do we need an entire segment on what each of the ists are? Maybe.
That's also about the chaos and the division. So once you can control people through the economics of socialism, the warm, fuzzy collectivism, if you will, that is not warm or fuzzy, it can leave you starving.
Can somebody explain this argument from a conservative point of view? Because obviously I'm not a conservative, so I don't understand this. But how in the world is giving the workers the ownership of their own production, how does that enable you to then control them more? It seems like taking away their ownership of the production and centralizing the ownership of the production in the hands of the owner of the company is actually taking away their control, right? Like, it seems to me that just by definition, socialists owning their own production, meaning and being able to collectively bargain and be able to negotiate with the owners of their company, it seems to me that is far more freedom than working under capitalism. MAGA, can you explain that to me, how you guys have come to this conclusion? That if under socialism, where the people control the means of production, somehow the people have less rights than if they give those rights away to a handful of business owners. Like, what's the difference between capitalism and plantationism? Not a lot, as long as you're paying them something, right? It's not, if you're working for free, then we're talking about slavery. But if, like, what's the difference? I don't understand why you guys think you have so much freedom being forced to work for the man all the time. Do we have MAGA here that can explain this to me? Because own the libs, that's a good point. I forgot about owning the libs. Fuck. Idiot. Thank you. That's super helpful. Can you explain it to me? Idiot. All right, but can you explain it to me, ultra terrestrial, please? Red said you still love the channel, though. Thanks, brother. Appreciate that. I don't know. I don't know how you guys square all this stuff. I kind of do. I think the way that you square it is by not knowing what any of these words mean. Amy said, how many companies did Trump require a piece of for favor? Isn't him making companies partially government-owned communism? Yes and no. For everybody who watched the 2008 financial collapse, anybody still supporting what Trump is doing is closing your eyes and pretending this isn't a replay. The reason that these companies are willing to get, well, maybe you know. Let's ask the chat. Let's poll. Chat, why do you think these companies like NVIDIA and now OpenAI's advocating for this? Who else? Did they get a cut of deal? I can't remember. These companies that the United States government is getting a stake in, why do you think they're willing to give away some of that ownership to the United States government? Money, kind of. It's pretty. Yes, proud atheist got it. Too big to fail. They're tying themselves to the government. So the government has to act in its own self-interest to save these companies. It is their way, because they all know what we know, and they're all openly saying it now. They all know they're overvalued. They all know that most of these tech companies, most of these AI projects, most of these data centers, they're all going to go belly up. They're all going to fall apart. And it doesn't mean that AI goes away. Like if you think back to the .com bubble, you could just, if you had pets.com, you were a multimillionaire. If you had I was going to say, I know there's a story of a guy who bought up all the adult website names. But just having a domain name that was popular, you were a multimillionaire. And everybody built out their websites and everybody was investing insane amounts of money. So you could go to pets.com, and let's say pets.com was just selling dog food. Well, people invested to the point where the valuation was 30x revenue. So they could never get a return on that investment. And when the .com bubble burst, all these overvalued companies crashed. And they went under because they didn't have money anymore. But a few of them survived. These AI companies, these tech companies, NVIDIA, they recognize that their best chance of survival is two things. Following the Peter Thiel philosophy of becoming a monopoly. Because if you are a monopoly in this country and you go through an economic crisis, the chances that the government and the people will bail you out is really high because you're not really as easily replaceable. If you're a mom and pop, who the fuck cares? Somebody's going to come replace you. But if you're Amazon, for example, if you're NVIDIA, for example, you might be too big to. NVIDIA is a better example. So they say, yeah, you can have 5%. And now the government is incentivized to save those companies. It's crony capitalism, and it mimics communism, and this is or socialism, and this is the criticism of socialism or communism is that eventually a government takes controlling interest, or they take interest in these companies and they pick winners and losers. Good argument. It's also an argument that can be applied to capitalism, because we do it with capitalism all the fucking time too. We've done it with our healthcare industry. We do it with oil. How many oil companies do we have? 4, 5? How many healthcare companies do we have? A dozen tops? We do this anyways. The government picking winners and losers is the problem. That can happen in communism, it can happen in socialism, it can happen in capitalism. But the reason that they're giving away those shares is just to protect themselves, because they all know the crash is coming. It's coming. By the way, everybody here, you should just know it's coming. It's on its way. It's going to be a massive crash. It's going to be just like the AI, but it's going to be far closer to the .com bubble than the 08 collapse. I was looking today at debt ratios and home prices. We're not yet to those rates where we were in 2008 with housing. We've at least protected housing a little bit better, but it's going to be a massive, massive collapse. And people's 401ks are going to be decimated. The stock market's going to be decimated, and then it will reset and rebuild. But a handful of these companies that are too big to fail will make it out because they have the government in their pocket. Remember yesterday we had David Sachs talking. He's when you're looking at these companies and who to invest in, you need to look at regulatory capture, meaning you need to identify which of these companies have the federal government in their back pocket. Those are who you should invest in. They're just openly saying it. Don't invest in any of these tech companies unless they have captured the regulatory bodies that oversee them, or if they have, if the government has a stake in their company. Those are the only ones that are safe to invest in right now, which is pretty good advice, honestly, from them.
Is when you allow something to feed you, it can also starve you. So when the government replaces God, when the government replaces all the food in your kitchen and tells you what you can and can't have.
The government replaces God? Can we go back to that? I forgot about this. I didn't understand what she's saying. Let me just give this in context. I don't know what she's saying.
It can leave you starving, because when you allow something to feed you, it can also starve you. So when the government replaces God, when the government...
Is God feeding you? Is the government feeding you? You are not fed by the government nor God.
Government replaces all the food in your kitchen and tells you what you can and can't have.
We already do that.
Then you get into communism.
What we already have protections on food, right? There's certain food, there's certain things you can and cannot have. That already exists. That's not communism or socialism. That's government. It's just government.
and that is the segregation of people politically, taking away power. 1933 is something that we could see replicate. History doesn't repeat, but it replicates in a current administration if it were to be taken over by socialists, because what they realize is, okay, anti-Semitism can get worse. It's not just going to be about you go to a bakery in part of New York.
All right, now this is the revisionist history. The current government is, they literally stole the slogan from the Nazis. Right? America First is the American Nazi slogan. If we're going back to the 30s, the people in the 1930s in America that were saying America First, that were calling for massive deregulation, that were calling for tax cuts for the wealthy, that were advocating for big business and for the richest among us, were the American Nazis. And the people that the American Nazis were calling the threat were the socialists. And we don't tell this story very accurately, but do you know who won? The socialists won. We didn't become a socialist country because those don't exist. But for about 50 years, we looked a lot like Norway and Sweden in terms of how our progressive tax policy and our investment in the middle class. The socialists won that battle in this country. And it was the largest expansion of the middle class in the history of this country. It was the best the middle class ever did. The socialists won, and they kept power for 50 years. These are your grandparents. These are your great-grandparents. All these heroes of capitalism, you think. All these people who you think built this country. These people that left something great for you that the boomers have fucked up and now conservatives are trying to fuck up. Like, the socialists beat the Nazis in this country. And the Nazis were the ones wearing red and saying America first, get rid of the immigrants. They were the anti-Semites. Just like now, like, you can try and rewrite history all you want. Like, there's anti-Semitism all across this country in the Republican Party and the Democrat Party. It's everywhere. But only one party has a dedicated wing of anti-Semitic Nazis, and that is legitimately the Republicans. The Nazis are on your side. You're using their slogans. Stephen Miller is legit, like, he can call himself a Nazi, he cannot call himself a Nazi. He has all the same ideology as the American Nazi Party in the 1930s. He steals all of their ideas. I can't believe Fox is going back to the 1930s. That's the last place I would go. Because if anybody knows anything about history, going back to the 1930s and criticizing the socialists for demanding that the middle class be taken care of and that we seize some of the fruits of labor from the wealthy and the powerful. If any of these people knew history, they would realize that they're talking about the people who won, and the people they were fighting against were the Nazis. Historically, MAGA, you are the American Nazi Party. I want to be careful about that because I think sometimes we say Nazi and you think German Nazis. There were American Nazis too, and you are the American Nazis. Notice how you're not socialist? Neither were the German Nazis. Neither were the American Nazis in the 1930s. You guys hate the socialists, you hate the communists, and you worship money. But if we were just able to erase everything and we were just to take in fact, let's look at the Nazi Party. Let's see, American Nazi Party platform. She said 33, right? Let's see if I can find one. See if I can get it in English, sorry. Let me see if I can simplify this. Hold on one sec. I'm just trying to get the 25 points here. There's a 25-point platform. I'm trying to just get AI to break it down so I don't have to read like 20 pages. All right. So this was adopted by the Americans, not entirely. So I'm just going to switch German to American. Unite all Americans in one America. That's a little different. Like we're not separated into West and East. That doesn't necessarily apply. Abolish the Treaty of Versailles. Doesn't apply. Acquire land and colonies to feed the German people and settle the surplus population. Acquiring Greenland. Trying to acquire Venezuela. Trying to take over Cuba. Like consistently talking about acquiring other land and colonies to feed and pay for. Get access to minerals. That's you guys, right? Only those of German blood may be citizens. Ending birthright citizenship. Multiple members of the Republican Party talking about only those that are American born. Even going back and undoing birthright citizenship or undoing citizenship in general. Like this administration's talking about that. So that's you, right? That's certainly not the socialists. They're not talking about this. Are the Democratic Socialists, are they talking about acquiring land to feed the American people? Are they talking about ending limiting citizenship? No, obviously not, right? And again, the Nazis hated the socialists. So let's just compare. Non-citizens may live in Germany only as foreigners under special laws. So that's, let's just, again, I'll change to America. Non-citizens may live in America only as foreigners under special laws. Who's going to agree with that? Would that be you or would that be the socialists? That would be you, right? Socialists, Mamdani's obviously not going to agree with non-citizens can only live in Germany as foreigners under special laws. Only citizens may hold public office or vote. Who's that sound like? Does that sound like Mamdani? Does that sound like AOC? Jobs are to be given without regard to party and only on the basis of ability. That sounds like everybody. The state must first provide a livelihood and proper standard of living for citizens. If it cannot, non-citizens should be expelled. Oh, if we can't pay all our bills, we got to get rid of non-citizens. Oh, who does that sound like? Sounds like you guys, right? You're blaming all of our problems on non-citizens, right? No further immigration of non-Germans or I guess non-Americans. And all non-Americans who entered after that date should leave. They chose August 12th, 1914. Going backwards to set arbitrary lines of where, when it's okay that people came into this country. Does that sound like you or does that sound like Mamdani? All citizens shall have equal rights and duties. I mean, both parties say that. Every citizen must work. Work should be for the common good, not private profit. Oh. Work should be for the common good, not private profit. Finally, remember how we were talking about that now? Everybody, who's doing the working requirements now for people to get welfare? Is that the socialists? You're defining words? I don't know if you're talking to me. I'm not defining words. I'm reading this. Abolish unearned income and interest slavery. Abolish unearned income and interest slavery. I don't know exactly what that means. Nationalizing large trusts. I don't think that applies. Make large industries share profits. Isn't that what Trump's doing right now? Making those large industries share the profits with the country. Expand old age welfare. Now, that does not sound like you guys. In all fairness, there's one for the Democratic Socialists. But all this foreign policy sounds like you. Are you trying to get MAGA to understand words? Oh, gotcha. Yeah, my bad. Reform land ownership, allow exploration for public need, abolish land speculation, and end land rent. Punish crimes against the common good with death. More death, right? Bring back the death penalty. What else do we have here? Trying to just get the stuff that applies to America. Control the press, require American ownership and editing, and suppress un-American publications. That's you. That's you guys. Literally, like the use of nationalism when we're talking about the press. That's you. Permit religion only if it does not offend Americans' moral feelings. So religion's fine as long as it's Christian. The party claimed a Christian orientation while opposing Jewish influence. Yeah, that's you guys. That's you. We are a Christian nation, despite not being a Christian nation. Right, so you're the Nazis. We're clear on that? Cool. Go back to Harris Faulkner and tell us how somehow the Democratic Socialists are the Nazis.
Okay, anti-Semitism can get worse. It's not just going to be about...
Oh, sorry. Clean energy is the devil like foosball. Red. I appreciate the I appreciate the quote from Waterboy, but clean energy is the future, and that's why China's beating our ass. That's some indoctrination stuff. Stick around. Oil companies are investing in renewable energy, but they want to wait until they have a monopoly. That is why they push for the slowdown. That is true. I agree with you on that. And then they pay the government, and which, this is why Biden did this. This is why Trump did this. This is why I'm a progressive. This is why I side with Democratic Socialists. I'm tired of the oil companies overpricing our energy. And Red, like, you're starting to sound like maybe you're pro Mom Donnie. Maybe you need to switch sides too.
You go to a bakery in part of New York, it's going to be much worse than that. No Jews can come here. By the way, don't go to a Jewish business.
No Jews can go to New York? Somebody tell New York. I don't know if anybody's been to New York lately. A lot of Jewish people in New York. A lot of Jewish people voted for Mom Donnie. I think you can go to New York if you're Jewish.
So forth. 1933.
You know where you don't want to go if you're Jewish? The Deep South. Northern Idaho. Don't go to Northern Idaho. Don't go to Post Falls, Idaho. Don't go to Bonners Ferry, Idaho. Don't go to Western Montana. Don't go to Eastern Washington. Don't go to Northern Nevada. Don't go to those places if you're Jewish. You're safe in New York. And great place for you to be in New York.
Was the start of the lead up. They weren't killing Jews yet, but they were making sure that they could not fight back.
I found it interesting, Sean, that last night
Anyways, we got to do something with Fox News. Did MAGA all take off when we started pointing out that they were Nazis? This real quick again. Donald Trump's
Tonight,
tricky,
President
and
Trump
MAGA is tricky because the MAGA voters are like, we're capitalists, but the leadership is not capitalist. Like, it's an oligarchy. This is the clearest explanation I've seen any major news outlet put together of why it matters that Trump's family made $3.1 billion, because it is literally choosing the Trump family over American citizens. It is literally saying, if you are the president of the United States, you can lie, cheat, and steal at the expense of American citizens, and we will still defend you.
Crypto just
movie night suggestion: the U.S. and the Holocaust. Ooh. Put that in the Discord, would you?
days after it was revealed he made more than $1 billion from it last year, including
China's beating our ass. Misnomer. Check out the China show. We were talking about energy production, Talia. In energy production, they're absolutely killing us. They're beating us in a lot of ways, not in every way, but in energy production, China's dominating us.
more than $600 million alone from the crypto meme coin named after Trump.
I've become a big crypto guy only for one reason. If we don't have it, China's going to have it. I'm very much for crypto because it's not a question of.
That's not a good argument, by the way. That's a dumb person argument. And this is a dumb person, so that makes sense. It's not an argument. Saying if we don't have it, China will have it is fucking stupid. Who cares? It's a scam. Who cares if China has a scam? If we don't have this scam, China's going to have this scam. You know why China is interested in cryptocurrency? Because they can manipulate our markets. You know how hard it is to take crypto profits out of China? Damn near impossible. China likes cryptocurrency because they can manipulate other countries' markets. They have a massive economy, they have massive amounts of wealth, and they can cripple us. It's the only reason China allows cryptocurrency, and they're using it, and that's why it's so heavily regulated over there. This is what happens when you hire a dumb person as president. That's fucking stupid. Like, if I don't get pneumonia, then China will get pneumonia. So I got pneumonia. If we don't have what do you call it, pyramid schemes, then China will have pyramid schemes. Okay, let them have it. They can have it. If we don't have tsunamis, China will have tsunamis. Okay. Yeah, China loves that we have cryptocurrency. They're big fans because they get to manipulate our markets.
A personal thing.
But it is personal for Trump. He has made massive profits from crypto. But some of his biggest supporters who invested in Trump's meme coin have gone broke, even as Trump is minting money. Out front now, Dan Alexander, senior editor at Forbes, who does extensive reporting on Trump and his finances. You know, and Dan, and part of this is that even when the coin loses value, even just the trade back and forth, right? Trump makes money off of that, whereas the person who's trading it and losing just loses. I know you've talked to several people, some of whom were Trump.
Okay, can we just talk about that? Red, you're here. Let's talk about that for a second. Do you think it is a good thing for the president to be able to openly promote his cryptocurrency where he makes money if you buy it, no matter if it's a good investment or not? Have you ever seen him stand up and say it's a risky investment? No. Has he ever stood up and said this is obviously rigged? The people who own the cryptocurrency are going to make all the money, and the people who invest are going to lose all the money. No, he consistently says this is a good investment. Invest in this as the president of the United States. Whether it goes up or whether it goes down, he makes hundreds of millions of dollars. Can we agree that that's not good? That shouldn't be allowed for the president to openly run a Ponzi scheme and lie about the like how good of a purchase that is? I think it should be banned altogether. Like, meme coins should not exist. They are 100% scams. They offer no utility. It's just a way for people to trick other people into stealing their money. And the president of the United States is running two of the biggest Ponzi schemes in the history of this country openly and making hundreds of millions of dollars. If we can't agree that that's a bad thing, I don't know what to do. Red, do you agree that's a bad thing?
Supporters. That's why they bought the meme coin, right? They believed in him, and they've lost a lot of money after investing in the meme coin. What did they tell you?
Well, you know, many of them are really disappointed right now. One of the funny things that they told me is that they went to these meme coin dinners or events, and at the first one, you know, it was,
why don't we have a bullet train system like Japan and China? Because mass transit is communism. We have to all drive cars.
outside of Washington, D.C. at his golf.
And also, it's not super profitable for private enterprise to do it, and the government would have to invest in it. And every time we do that, conservatives cry about it. And so we just can't have good public transportation.
Club in Virginia.
Remember that one.
And they said it was kind of like a wedding full of crypto bros.
Also because it would destroy the gas industry. Good point. I mean, that's all part of it.
You know, and people were all just talking about crypto stuff, and it was random things were happening. You know, a billionaire gets on stage, who's not Trump, and starts selling Trump watches. And
also destroy the car industry. Two things America's propped up on. We are not propped up on the oil and car industry. I think that is a lie. We get we get dick from the oil industry and the car industry. We'd be okay. We'd still sell plenty of cars, and if we sell a lot less oil, that's fine.
Lamar Odom, the former basketball player, is walking around, and one guy says that the service is no good. He really wanted soda, and all he could get was water. So just sort of this funny mix-up of like glamour and really not glamour. And then there's a second event that just happened in April at Mar-a-Lago. And at that one, they sort of worked out some of the wrinkles. They had shuttles taking everybody in, and they gave out goodie bags to the attendees. And a lot of people got really, really excited about these goodie bags because of what they contained in them. Some of them had Trump-branded watches that people were really excited about. They also had bottles of cologne that were...
Yeah, I don't know how to say that. G3 Aero Images. The crypto rug pull made him profit more than any president in history by 3 times. It's also the biggest payday of his life. Yeah. The most money Trump ever made was by running a crypto rug pull pump and dump scheme that is illegal. And he did it openly while the MAGA cheered him on.
In like little mini golden...
But do you see this at the bottom? The Trumps are up $3.7 billion. Their investors are down $7 billion. Let's just explain how this works. The Trumps could not be up $3.1 billion unless their investors had lost money. The only way for Trump to make money in this scenario is for people to continue to invest in his crypto. And because it's a meme coin, it has no utility, it's going to go down. It's like investing in a water bottle with a hole in the bottom. I'm going to buy this water bottle with a hole in the bottom, and you're just going to keep going through water all the time. But you're like, yeah, but it's a Trump water bottle. Bring back Herbalife.
Donald Trump statues. And people were so pumped about all this stuff that they started stealing each other's bags. Like somebody would stand up and another person would go under their chair, grab a bag, walk out. But the thing that is with these events The point is just to
Who's not allowed to sell their shares, Melissa?
get people excited about trading this stuff. And the more trades that happen, the more fees kick off to Donald Trump. He knows that, which is why.
You're talking about the World Liberty Financial one? Yeah, I think the Trump crypto shares have all vested, I think. But the World Liberty Financial tokens, which are not the meme coin, that's the stable coin, those are locked up.
Even though he's president.
Could be wrong on that, but I think everybody has vested long enough to sell the meme coin shares.
He's willing to take the time to do something like go to his golf club or to Mar-a-Lago and host all of his meme coin holders.
Interesting, in the grab bags, there were the little fake gold statues.
$5 more from Red said travel, no hard feelings. Oh, that's nice. That's beautiful.
Of Trump. That was new. That's new information to me. Okay, so you talk about this, how he makes money on the trades, even as if the overall value goes down, right? And the people who bought it, they lost. So you then, Dan, went and dug into some other ventures. Melania's meme coin, as well as Don Jr. and Eric's crypto business, where some Trump fans have also lost huge. What did you find there?
Well, it's a consistent pattern across these ventures. And if you add them all up, the Trump family has cashed out at this point already like $1.9 billion. And they're up about $3.1 billion in terms of how
cashed $1.9 billion by scamming the American people. And we're still like, they're great businessmen. They're scammers. They've always been scammers. That's it. Trump is a scammer. He made all of his money scamming.
how much it's lifted their net worth. Meanwhile, their supporters collectively are down, we estimate, $7 billion. All of these things are structured so that then the Trumps do really, really well. And even if the assets collapse at the end, they're still left with a huge pile of money.
How does that happen, where they lose, just keeping this up on the screen, where the Trump family can make $3.1 billion while everyone else that believed in them, they're obviously, most of these people are going to be core supporters, lose $7 billion?
It happens in a couple of different ways. The first is that Trump just sells a lot of this stuff out front. So for example, with the World Liberty Financial tokens, there was...
Blue Chew said a high-rise building in New York City might collapse soon. Is that like a joke or is this a real story? I could see it both ways.
Selling this stuff for large amounts of money and collecting most of the proceeds of that right at the get-go. The other thing that's happened is that they've taken companies public, and those companies, when they're on the public exchanges, attract massive valuations.
It's a real story. Jen, will you find that? Some building in New York. Big W for Lee over on Venmo for sending the $50 in the chat. Please let Lee know that we W them. Said July Antifa dues. Big W for the $50 over on Venmo.
They've then used those huge valuations to dump more stock upon retail investors and then purchase other things, mostly Bitcoin, so that then as that ratio between sort of the underlying holdings and the myth that people have in their head closes, they're still left with a big pile of assets at the end, which means that they still end up because they invested hardly anything into these things at the outset, even though people who got in at the peak are way down.
All right, so cool. Our president is a scammer. Manhattan high-rise unstable and still moving after columns buckle, officials say. What is this? Oh, those are just screenshots. There we go. What is this? I didn't know this was happening. Probably gonna have an ad. Columns buckled, bricks tumbled into the street from under construction high-rise in Midtown Manhattan on Tuesday. The former Pfizer building remained unstable and continued to move hours later, forcing nearby buildings to evacuate. Structural column buckled on the 21st floor, and additional structural issues were subsequently discovered. The building remains unstable, said Mamdani. This is an extremely serious situation. They have a. Is this going to show us a video of it after this ad is done? Let's see.
Breaking story on Manhattan's east side, buckling beams discovered inside a high-rise office building under construction to be converted into a residential building.
Now, right now, at least 8 buildings in that area have been evacuated as workers try to quickly make sure the building does not collapse. Eyewitness News reporter Lauren Glassberg live from the scene. Lauren?
So authorities clarified for us that this is a steel frame building. So if there were to be a collapse, which would, of course, be a really unfortunate situation, it would be a localized collapse. That would be sort of internal to the building and not a total collapse, which is certainly a relief. The issues are on the 21st floor where 2 structural columns have buckled. Also box beams, which are hollow beams, have also started bending, and the building remains unstable. That is the big concern right now. And we heard
Is that a Planet Fitness?
The mayor about that.
That's a good joke.
A few minutes ago.
The building remains unstable. Since arriving on scene, we have witnessed additional movement in one of the compromised columns. First responders and structural engineers are working closely with the project engineer to develop plans to shore up the impacted floor. If the floor is deemed to be secure, engineers will enter and begin shoring up the building. As we await the arrivals of materials that will stabilize the building, DOB engineers have been investigating.
Someone said it's an old Pfizer building, Soul Stealer, that's being renovated. Did somebody say it's being renovated for apartments now? So it's an old Pfizer building now being renovated?
With FDNY drones. This is an extremely serious situation, and I am thankful to our first responders for quickly arriving at the site and to New Yorkers for reacting calmly and with urgency.
So the goal would be to get in some sort of struts to stabilize that 21st floor and the areas above as well as below. Again, this is a very complex situation at that building that is undergoing
Someone's going to blame Fauci.
residential conversion with extended floors.
Fucking Fauci, man. He's always Fauci.
Top of what the original building was, and the impact on this Midtown area is numerous street closures and lots of buildings, including a private school, evacuated. That is the latest from Midtown. Of course, we'll be covering this for you as the day continues. Live in Midtown, Lauren Glassberg, Channel.
Man, that's crazy. So are they? It sounds like somebody said they're going to try and do a controlled demolition. So they're building up 16 stories. I've seen a lot of people saying it was not union work. I honestly don't know. Why would Obama do this? Because he hates America. That's Papa's. He hates America. He's trying to turn us communist, and that's why he's destroying the Pfizer building, okay? He and Dr. Fauci are in this together, along with George Soros. We all know it was on Hunter's laptop. Hunter's laptop had the plans. Scott Jennings says he talked to Mitch this morning for 30 minutes. No fucking way. There's no way. No way. Is that real? Breaking news. We're just abandoning the show today. No way Scott Jennings said that. You're all wrong. It was the space lasers. Fucking Marge had it. God said I spoke to my old friend Mitch McConnell this morning, the senior senator from Kentucky. He's still recovering in the hospital. We talked for just shy of 20 minutes about Iran, Ukraine, the unfolding situation in Maine, my visit to the TR Presidential Library, and even a little bit of Senate history. I told him, why? Why did you talk about all of that? I don't know. That'd be a weird thing for Scott Jennings to lie about. I probably believe it. But what? Yeah, but why haven't we seen him then? I don't know. That would be if that turns out to be a lie, that would be absolutely insane. Okay, Jamar said thank you. Thank you, Jamar. Appreciate that. Back to it. We got about an hour left. Gift goal's almost knocked out. If you guys want to help us knock that out by the end of the live, that'd be greatly appreciated. Over on TikTok, thank you, Laura Lee, Johnny D, Eve, Plants on the Spectrum. Yeah, hate it here. Dolphin and Matlock for being the top gifters. Appreciate that. Looks like the likes are at 114,000 too. So thank you guys for sharing. 71 of you have gifted. That's pretty cool. If you want to run those up, gifting, I believe, is suspended on TikTok right now. I'm not sure. I keep getting alerts that it's suspended, so I don't know if you guys can even gift right now. I don't know why they keep suspending our gifting, but they're doing it. Okay, this will probably be the last story of the day. We'll see. I've had this on the outline for a while. I just haven't got to it, and then I forgot to play it because I thought I've watched this video so many times. I thought we had played it. This is More Perfect Union. They're the greatest. We uncovered the master plan that Peter Thiel doesn't want you to see. This is going to give you like a really good overview of what these tech oligarchs are planning, and to me it helped crystallize what seemingly doesn't make a lot of sense in our economy right now, and what the plan is. I also want to just say this before we get going. This is Peter Thiel's plan. I don't think he's going to accomplish this plan. I think that these tech oligarchs have wildly overestimated how powerful they are, and they've wildly overestimated the Americans' willingness to be subjects. So I don't think that they're going to accomplish this, but I think it's important to remember what we're up against and why you just should not and cannot vote for Republicans. Somebody said this guy has more hats than me. Nice try. You just like him because of his hat collection. I got that beat for sure.
One of the weirdest stories that I've ever looked into. It's about a once fringe movement among the tech elite that aims to replace governments entirely.
Lucci said lies. Talking to Mitch for 20 minutes is impossible. And Electric Dad said Pfizer makes the blue pill. Seems like the blue chew is better. That's what I've heard. Melanie said David Pakman reported from an inside source that Mitch has been unconscious for 3 weeks in the hospital. I saw that. Yeah, there's a lot of conflicting reports. Could it just be that one guy that does the Mitch McConnell impression? Could have been that guy. Jennings could have easily been catfished. That's the story we're going for now. It was an impersonator that Scott Jennings talked to. That's the official story. Nobody fact checked that. It's true. Spread it like wildfire.
With corporations. Privatized societies run by CEOs, built for profit, not for people. Almost like they wanted their own little worlds, playlands, built just for them, based on their desires.
Mr. said thanks for all you do. Thank you.
I eventually pulled away from the story because it seemed a little more silly than anything to be concerned about. But then I realized they might already be getting their way. Just look at Doge and Palantir replacing or breaking the basics of the government. The plans for a futuristic, privatized new Gaza. AI infrastructure growth that seems immune to public opinion and invasions.
Maybe it was a hologram like Teddy Roosevelt. No, look, if AI gives us AI Mitch McConnell, like hologram Mitch McConnell, we've just got to abandon it. We can't. That's when you know we've gone too far. If we ever get a hologram Mitch McConnell, it's over. It's time to start the country over.
Countries seemingly at random.
A new power structure in society that will overcome the existing democratic power structures.
I think he's in rigor tortoise. Let us guess.
When billionaires suddenly have a tremendous amount of power and democracy has been proven to be exceedingly vulnerable.
So I decided to dig back in. What is this movement? Where did it come from? How did the people involved get so powerful? Where is it going? And
my girlfriend has pink or blue hair, right? Nope, brown hair. And your dad has a small dick.
Importantly, what can we do to stop it? Let's go back to the weird origins of all this. In 2008, Peter Thiel first got involved in philanthropy, if you can call it that. He opened the Thiel Foundation, a nonprofit that invested in building the world Peter Thiel believed in. And one big investment sticks out: the Seasteading Institute. The Seasteading Institute was started by Patry Friedman, the grandson.
Dad said the pool was cold. Yeah, man, we weren't in the pool. It was fully inflated, and it was unimpressive.
Of Milton Friedman, the famous economist who gave politicians the academic backing to rip off the global working class. The goal of TSI was to build self-sustaining societies at sea, ruled by new governments on newly constructed land. This was particularly appealing to libertarians who wanted to escape the constraints of modern governance.
The question of whether Seasteading...
Mark, do you want me to fuck you? Are you mad that I'm fucking your dad instead of you? It's all right, Mark. Okay, it's blue, bud. It is. It's blue, and I'm all soy, Mark. Get those big feelings out.
Is desirable or possible, in my mind, is not even relevant. It is absolutely necessary.
Peter Thiel provided the seed money for this project and set up TSI with some office space in a conference room in the Palantir office. He also hooked Friedman up with one of the co-founders, Joe Lonsdale.
You know, we're the guys who create institutions that are changing the world, and we've changed a lot of industries so far here in Silicon Valley, but we haven't been able to change the government. That's a pretty hard one.
Speaking of blue hair, nice frosted tips. Joe Lonsdale has never looked like anything other than every fucking douchebag you've ever known. He is, of all the Peter Thiel cronies, he is by far the biggest douchebag.
Silicon Valley changing the government is exactly what Thiel wanted. I spoke with one of the people who's been following the rise of this movement better than anyone else. Gil Duran, journalist and author of The Nerd-Reich, to get a better understanding.
And one half of Duran Duran.
Of the philosophy behind all
Thank
of
you,
this.
Stacey.
There's a long history of people seeking to escape democratic societies or else to bring back monarchy or authoritarianism. In 1997, there was a book that came out called The Sovereign Individual. It argued that in the 21st century, two technologies would result basically in the overthrow of democracy.
Nose ring too, right, Mark? You said, yeah, she did. But listen, the great thing about my girlfriend is she is very generous, and she gives to those in need. And after your dad lost his cock ring, she gave the nose ring to him. It a little big though, so didn't do that. So we just we gave him a Prince Albert, and now he's happy. And it feels a little more girthy to me, which is nice because as much as I don't like that side of my work. I was starting to feel bad for your dad. So,
and the demise of nations like the United States, cyber currency, which we would call crypto today, and the other one was advanced automation that would create a world without jobs, and that wealthy individuals who were savvy investors could profit from this coming doom and prepare for it by making the right investments. This book had a major impact on Peter Thiel.
And of course, it influenced the people Thiel was paying. Joe Lonsdale got to work. He started a nonprofit, California Common Sense, allegedly
I don't mind nose rings. I think they're fine.
Dedicated to transparency in government spending, so that voters could make a difference if they found things they were unhappy with. On the surface, that sounds great, but two founders of that nonprofit started a for-profit, OpenGov. OpenGov is a software service for government agencies to manage data. The idea of replacing democratic processes in the hands of all of us with technology in the hands of few was becoming less fringe.
Isn't that what Harris Faulkner just was telling us? Is that they wanted to consolidate all the power into the hands of a few? Isn't that what they were saying? So, like, obviously she doesn't understand what socialism is, but it's crazy to hear Fox News every day be like, the socialists are trying to expand voting rights and make sure that everybody has a living wage. And so they're obviously consolidating power, and fuck them. And then they're like, and now on to Palantir, who now runs every aspect of our government. And the Supreme Court just ruled that they can give unlimited amounts of money because free speech. It's crazy. I don't know how you guys don't see this. It'll be studied throughout history. Because it's not like 1930s Germany or 1930s Italy. Like, we've got the fucking internet. You can see everything all the time. It's maximum transparency. You're not just getting duped by a newspaper, right? Like, you can see all this shit, and you're watching it in real time. You're watching, like, the oligarchs take over, and you're like, I think the problems are the Democratic Socialists who keep saying that more people should be allowed to vote. That seems to be the problem, and not these oligarchs.
And other nonprofits with similar goals started popping up.
But while the idea of using technology to make a decentralized country had some illustrious backers...
You said that it's easy for them. Also, keep in mind, this is cosplay to them. This is LARPing for them. And they kind of fucking suck at it. I think it's time that we expose and start being honest about these fucking nerds. Like 4 years ago, Mark Zuckerberg told the whole world that we were going to be living in a virtual reality world, and you would go to work in virtual reality, and you would talk to your sister in virtual reality across the country, and you would be able to coexist through the amazing technology of virtual reality. And we're going to change our name from Facebook to Meta, and we're going to build the metaverse. And 4 years later, it's like, fuck, none of that happened. They're just fucking nerds who are living out these pipe dreams, and they have so much fucking money because of the over-capitalization of our stock market that they're just living out their nerd fantasies, and they're not accomplishing any of them. They're just blowing money. This AI shit that they get, it's going to replace doctors. Oh, yeah? It is? It's going to replace the doctors? No, it's not. It's just a better Google. They're not actually going to win. None of this is actually going to happen. It's just a matter of, like, how long do we let them try? How long do we let them fuck things up before, like, the revolt? Let's not give them power so that we have to take that power back. Let's just everybody admit that these are fucking nerds. And I mean nerds not in the way, like, I love nerds. No, I don't like these nerds. These nerds fucking suck. They're weird. They're sexual deviants. They all have strange closeted beliefs, whether it's religion, sexuality, economic. They're not honest about anything. They think everything's like they play everything like it's a fucking psyop. For some reason, Joe Rogan thinks that they're cool. They're just having their nerd moment right now, and we need to acknowledge that they're not doing very well. Everything they keep saying is going to happen doesn't happen. Are we at Mars? No. Does Elon have self-driving cars? No. How about those tunnels that we're going to take over everywhere? How's that going? Not going well. How about Neuralink? Is everybody adopting Neuralink? Nope, that's not going well either. By the way, Dre Dossier has some great reporting on Neuralink, which is troubling. Trigger warning if you're going to go watch that. All these things that they keep claiming they're going to do, they're not doing any of them. They're just doing like regular shit and then saying, we're going to do this. We're going to get to Mars. And then people invest in them and then it doesn't happen. That's all. And then when this crash comes, we're all going to realize like, oh shit, none of that worked. And nothing they said was going to happen happened. We have a better Google now. And it might be Google. Like Google might wind up just being the better Google. Like they actually have the structure and the liquidity to maybe be able to pull this off.
In the mid-2010s.
I'm going to leverage technology to create...
Exactly. Nerd fantasies at our expense. They're dangerous. Yeah, Melissa.
...a new country. And yes, I did say country, not company.
It never really materialized on a serious level. But the think tanks would herald a few successful...
Except that Google is presently a worse Google. Good point.
...versions of their privatization plan.
Like Sandy Springs, Georgia, famously
That is Ghislaine. Ghislaine, good friend. I mean, can we also remember that Peter Thiel was like buds with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine, and all of these people were friends with Epstein? All the people in charge are friends with Epstein, and MAGA just like, oh, we're going to pretend that our whole fucking leadership in this country isn't all Jeffrey Epstein's weird-ass friends trying to create their own country.
First city in America to privatize nearly all government services. It was the darling of the libertarian press. Everything for profit.
Their dorks were nerds. That's fair. I'll call them dorks from now on.
Nothing public, and a consulting firm making a little cash off the taxpayers at every juncture. Though
1826, 40-year life expectancy. 2026 is 78 years. Yeah, we're talking about tech oligarchs. They didn't do anything to make that happen. That's ingenuity. That's human beings. That's doctors. That's scientists. That's researchers. You're welcome. What do you mean you're welcome? What, capitalists did that? Yeah, when we allowed these people to become billionaires, that's what caused all of this medical ingenuity. Yeah, for sure, dude. It wasn't the researchers that taught us about like nutrition. It wasn't the advancements in medicines and in vaccine technologies and in surgery. And it wasn't because we learned about germs. Yeah, it wasn't that. It was because rich people got more rich. That's how fucking dumb the MAGA base is. Like, we're living to 78 now, so you could just thank the capitalists for that. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Except for all these other countries that have single-payer healthcare and don't have billionaires all over their country, they have higher life expectancy than us. Our life expectancy is going down. Most other countries' life expectancy is going up. If you compare us to other countries with the same access to medicine, their life expectancy is in the 80s. We're at 78. I will thank capitalism for that, because that's like we poison our food, we poison our air, we poison our water. We don't give everybody medical care. We don't protect what people are eating at all. Like, we just allow all sorts of shit into our food. We don't educate people very well. Access to nutritious food is very difficult for poor people, so that brings down the quality of life and life expectancy. So I would blame capitalism for us being like 2 to 4 years behind in life expectancy. But good Lord, do not credit capitalism for life expectancy.
Extra taxes for corporate profit started adding up, though. Eventually, Sandy Springs...
White people learned basic hygiene, kinda. That hurts. That's kind of true.
...privatized, saving taxpayers millions of dollars a year.
There are also nascent communities focused on Christian values that the network state media heralds.
Battleground Washington, where a data center billionaire is buying up all the property to own the town, the mayor is on his payroll, and Highland Rim, a series of developments in Appalachia run by the investment firm New Founding. And that's not even including the California Forever Project, a proposed tech city in Solano County funded by Mark Andreessen, Reid Hoffman, Sam Altman, and other billionaires. But what if this was never...
Yeah, that's the city in California where it was like farmland, and all the farmers like started communicating with each other. They're like, hey, is California forever? They're buying up all of the land, and they're going to turn it into like this like weird tech city. And so they're like, okay, let's not sell our land to them. We don't want to do that. And then they got sued by all of these billionaires for working together against them. And they said that what do you call that when what's the crime when you... I hate this. May have it. Forgot what they sued them for. And was it antitrust collusion? It might have been wasn't price fixing. It might have been antitrust. Let's see. I'll just pull up the lawsuit. I'll let that play.
Really about these little mini governments. Here's Peter Thiel saying the quiet part out loud in 2010.
Technology is this incredible alternative.
It was price fixing. It was a price fixing. So they had a 510. They tried to sue all of these farmers for $510 million in a federal price fixing lawsuit against the Solano County landowners. They wound up having to pay all the landowners their legal fees.
To politics. And the task in this world where politics has become so broken and so dysfunctional is to find a way to escape from it.
Tech instead of politics. We already had Doge and Palantir becoming the operating system of the United States, with a stated goal of being more powerful than the governments using it.
How can we help the government stop the bad guys while also putting systems in place to make sure
you're the bad guys? The worst thing we ever did was let these fucking dorks act like superstars and hold on. Like, all of these people are more sane than the people on stage. It's just that they have a lot of money, and so all these people are like, oh, I want to have a lot of money. But you guys won't ever have their amount of money because you're not psychopaths. Somewhere along the line, all these fucking, I think Steve Jobs, we can blame Steve Jobs for it, started doing those events where they'd unveil the products, and then Microsoft tried it and it was horrific. And somewhere along the line, we took these like CEOs of tech companies and we're like, you're amazing. And they didn't really do anything. Like the engineers, all the people who actually made this technology work, they got no credit. It was just some fucking dork who's like, I hope one day that we have real lightsabers, just beating off on stage, and like, that's who I want to be like. We never should have done that. Nobody should have ever told them that they were cool. Nobody should have ever put them on TV. Nobody should have ever given them a spotlight. You should have just been like, hey, dude, your job is legitimately just to make executive decisions. Everybody else is doing the real work. You're not that important. But we let them become so self-important, and then we started treating them like they were so important. And we're like, CEOs are so... Like Elon Musk, he's so important. Jeff Bezos is so important. Steve Jobs is so important. Yeah, then how come Steve Jobs died, Apple's doing fine? How come Jeff Bezos went away and Amazon's doing fine? How did Elon Musk take like 8 months away from his companies to come fuck up our government and everything went fine? Because they're just honestly not that important.
Nobody within the government was doing anything inappropriate. So you have to have systems that watch the watchers.
After leaving Palantir, Lonsdale, through his firm 8VC, continued investments in what's called GovTech, tech for government clients.
Also a thing that raised life expectancy, says Jared, is vaccines. True.
That's
fucking
surveillance
Fauci.
tech, AI drones, AI weapons, even tech to replace 911 with AI. All aim to replace, privatize, and profit from tasks normally attributed to democratically accountable officials.
What's happening
is watching the watcher of the watchers. Great question stickers. You see what I mean? Like, everything they say is so, like, unironically unpoetic. They just say sentences and people are like, oh, yeah. Yeah, who's watching the government? Us. We are. Have you heard of C-SPAN? Yeah, and then we have budgets and shit. And so their solution to how are we going to watch over the government is to convince the Supreme Court that they're allowed to spend all this money and write all the laws themselves behind closed doors and not ever have to take credit for any of it. These guys aren't brilliant. They're just not. They're confident, and they all made a bunch of money on PayPal, and they figured out this grift now where they just, everything they invest in makes money, and they recruit like crazy. And if you wind up in their group, you're going to make a lot of money, and you're not going to do anything that great. Like, which of the people of the PayPal Mafia did something great? Tell me one thing any member of the PayPal Mafia did that was great.
Now, though, is that the companies are becoming more powerful than the governments they serve. We suddenly have all these billionaire oligarchs spending so much money, they were able to actually capture the federal government with Trump. So it's this interesting moment now where we're getting a glimpse of what government by technology company would look like.
And Lonsdale is working to convince you that we need this by making you scared. Lonsdale founded the Cicero Institute, a think.
I can promise you that this photo will be one of the most famous for all the wrong reason photos in the history of this country. When we have like stories like or movies like The Big Short come out, when they talk about all these tech oligarchs and what they did and how they duped the American people, this will become one of the most famous photos ever in American history. This is at Donald Trump's inauguration. Seated right behind the vice president and next to his family are these billionaire oligarchs who are fucking everything up. And history will just remember that Donald Trump, the Nepo baby, like fraudulent businessman, who then became a reality TV star, got reelected after doing a terrible job because all of the richest people in the country gave him money and provided him cover so that they could live out their like dork wet dreams. This will be chilling to future generations of Americans. And they'll be like, Grandma, Grandpa, Dad, Mom, did you vote for Donald Trump? And you bitches will be like, no, I saw this coming a mile away. When I saw him align himself with the billionaires, that's when I knew. You're going to look you are going to look like people wearing like Lehman Brothers and like Bear Stearns shirts. You're going to look like Jim Cramer right before 2008. Like, I love big banks. I love synthetic CDOs. The stock market will never crash. Housing is untouchable. Housing bonds will never come down. They will always go up. None of you, some of you were around for that. And if you were a Republican, you were cheerleading that on while literally the entire Bush administration is just like, yeah, look how good we're doing. Look at the housing market. It's at all-time highs. Like, yeah, but like, so are bankruptcies and so are default rates, and everybody's savings is going down and everybody's debt is going up. This looks bad. Earnings on these companies is like 20x revenue. That doesn't make any sense. And then it all crashed. They're like, oh, no, who could have seen it coming? Dork oligarchy. How about that? Can you do dork oligarchy?
Think tank that pushes anti-homeless messaging. Not anti-homelessness messaging, but messaging attacking.
My conscience is clear. I'm guessing that like your brain is also clear. I'm guessing it's just white noise going around your head all the time. Occasionally a tumbleweed goes by. There's nothing happening up here. I voted for Donald Trump, and I'm not going to acknowledge any of these things. My conscience is clear. Nah, dude, you're just dumb. Dorkwing cuck. I like that.
The homeless themselves, and even legislation creating concentration camps where unhoused people would do forced labor.
You actually can go into states, you can like partner with governors, you can pass laws. Cicero's in 15 states, we're getting dozens of laws passed, and then we're going to teach people that and go to the national level.
Riling people up is definitely...
They were just telling you, we're taking over all your local governments, we're going to teach you how to do it. By the way, who do you think funds Turning Point USA? I'm sorry, Borakua. I'm sorry. I called you dumb and you were saying your conscience is clear because you didn't vote for Trump. I'm so sorry. Let's pretend. Can we just pretend for the rest of the live, though, that you're just MAGA so that joke is still funny? I hate when I do that. I'm going to apologize now, but then can we just pretend that didn't happen? Thanks. This is what they've been doing. Like, this is why you have all these like this is why dipshit Mick pissed his pants was in Israel the other day. They just pay influencers and they pay local politicians and they get all the laws changed and they convince people that this is for you. We need to deregulate for you. You'll be rich if we deregulate. You must have a data center. This is for you. And then when it's not for you, you're like, what the fuck? What did the Dems do? And it's just these dorks here behind the scenes convincing you that capitalism is great.
Part of their game plan. That's what we saw in the San Francisco recalls. San Francisco had a spike in crime during the pandemic, but so did almost every big city in the United States. Only in San Francisco, which has extremely low crime rates compared to most cities in red states, did they create this massive panic using social media and doom influencers to convince everybody that everything was worse than it had ever been.
And as Lonsdale got into nonprofits and think tanks, Patri Friedman, remember him, Milton Friedman's grandson, started his own VC.
Also, all conservative think tanks are funded by like the same four people, and it's oil, it's tech, and it's like Christian nationalists, and they don't think about anything. They get together and they try and find loopholes to install fascism and Christian nationalism. I used to consistently give money to a think tank called Libertas Institute, who I thought for sure was like a libertarian group. And I know Connor Boyack, who's the, I guess he's the founder. And then all of a sudden he was selling like children's books. And he was just like indoctrinating kids. I was like, oh, this is Libertas just turned into capitalism is great. As soon as he got money, it was just like, guys, we got to do capitalism.
Firm with backing from Peter Thiel, called Pronomos Capital, existing entirely for investing in privatized governments. In Honduras, Pronomos invested in the first government run entirely by a for-profit corporation.
It's pronounced Bordiqua. Jeez, Bordiqua? All right, sorry, Bordiqua. I love you.
Prospera.
Prospera is this little enclave on the island of Roatan in Honduras that claims to be its own little charter city that was funded by American venture capitalists and has been touted as the flagship project of the network state movement.
But the real flagship project is something bigger. The entire United States government. It shows in policy. Remember the whole thing about
Thank you, Melissa.
Taking over Greenland? That idea emerged and was celebrated by the people we've been talking about.
I think having a frontier is very healthy. I think part of America being great is that it's growing and creating more wealth for everyone. If the people...
Did you know that Joe Lonsdale, like, this was their idea? Of course, you never gave a fuck about Greenland. Trump literally was talking about this today. Trump was talking about Greenland today. This is just his overlords like, we need Greenland.
Greenland want to be part of us. If we can use those resources better and make sure Russia and China don't get advantages in the Arctic.
Okay, that's Joe Lonsdale like 2 years ago. They've been saying this forever. Do I have this? This is Trump today. You tell me where he got this talking point. If he's not a puppet, you tell me how Trump came up with this shit today.
Well, that's what hurt my relationship with NATO. Because Greenland doesn't help Denmark. Denmark doesn't spend money to really help Greenland, but it's an important part for the United States. And it's surrounded by China ships and Russian ships.
What was that? Wonder where he got this talking point.
Use those resources better and make sure Russia and China don't get advantages in the Arctic. The Freedom City.
Greenland doesn't help Denmark. Denmark doesn't help Greenland. We're better off. We can use those resources better, and then we can fight off China and Russia. And then Trump.
To really help Greenland, but it's an important part for the United States. And it's surrounded by China ships and Russian ships. And that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, I wonder who fed him that. That's a good point. Ty said, random, if Mitch passes, can Thomas Massie take his seat? Yes. That would be brilliant by Andy Bashir. That might be the best move if Andy Bashir replaced it. Because he's like, oh, it's a Republican. Suddenly Thomas Massie has 6 years in the Senate. Oh, my God, please. Does anybody know Andy Bashir? I'm not going to speak for everybody, but I know there's a good amount of you who would join me in sucking Andy Bashir's dick if he did that. Not even that it's necessarily great for what we want, just to like stick it to Donald Trump. That would get amazing. His voice is getting slurry. He's also bloated as shit. He looks like he's retaining a lot of water. I don't know that Trump's in very good health. He doesn't golf anymore.
As a name didn't
RTV just jerked to McConnell dying. How dare you? It was to Thomas Massey being in the Senate for 6 years. Or I guess what's left of McConnell's term? It would be whatever's left of McConnell's term. I don't know how many years are left.
Really gain momentum, but the idea is there, and the influence.
That's right. So I don't know how it is. Can they appoint him for the rest of his term? Or do you appoint him until, I don't know how that works. It's just until January? Oh, okay, fuck. He could still win, though. He could win Senate, maybe. I don't know. I'll take him until January. That's fine, too.
The administration is clear. Joe Lonsdale helped staff up.
Is that possible when he's already a House rep? Probably not. God damn it. This is terrible. I didn't even think about that either. Yeah, fuck, just do it. Just do it and tell him to stop you.
Trump administration, and just recently accompanied administration officials to the Philippines to christen a new regulatory zone.
Just last week, we signed a historic deal with the Philippines, 4,000 acres, right next to Subic Bay, where we're going to build a first-of-its-kind AI-native industrial park.
But I was there for a day in the Philippines with everyone. They're excited what you guys are doing.
That sounds a lot like a startup city. They've also embedded themselves with the rest of the right-wing movement.
I could not have envisioned that J.D. Vance, a Peter Thiel protege, would be the vice president of the United States. And so when Vance got onto the ticket...
Could he be, though? I don't know.
Then it became real that this stuff could travel to the White House. In September 2024, there was a conference at Fort Mason in San Francisco called Reboot 2024. And its website announced that we were now in a new reality and that Silicon Valley was waking up and about to become this powerful force in politics. And the guest speaker was Kevin Roberts of the Heritage Foundation, who is the guy who had shepherded Project 2025. So here you had tech VCs in San Francisco and Kevin Roberts in the same venue proclaiming the new reality. And the new reality is where we are today.
And that's
why do you think tech VCs would work with Kevin Roberts? Heritage Foundation. It's not about Jesus, right? It's about control. Religion's a great tool for control. And if you're one of these oligarchs, you view religion that way. Wow, that's a great way for me to control people. You don't have to live it. You're above all those rules anyways. Peter Thiel talks an awful lot about the Antichrist and Christian conservative values for a gay dude who has on the record has tons of or at least used to host orgies at his LA place all the time. They just want to control people. That's why the Heritage Foundation and the oligarchs are working together. It's all about control.
Showing in actual policy, like the administration's quietly announced plans for maritime prosperity zones, districts on American soil with fewer regulations for corporations to build ships and reinvigorate the industrial base. Then there's the New American Industrial Alliance, a tech industry interest group, pushing for unrestricted data center growth. They were listed as co-sponsors of the Blueprint for America, lobbying for prosperity zones on American soil.
Notice all these names. This is how stupid they think we are, and this is actually how stupid we are. Is that they just create all of these Blueprint for America, America's Maritime Action Plan. They just create all these plans and names so that it's not hey, this is just Peter Thiel trying to do his freedom cities. They just they want to use the resources. They want to create their own countries. They need the United States government to pave the way. They want no regulation. They want to be kings because they're just fucking dorks who think they get their own kingdom because they made a bunch of money. And fortunately for them, they live in the United States where you can buy politicians relatively cheap. That was one of the things that Sam Bankman-Fried said. Sam Bankman-Fried's the one that he's in prison right now. And he said, what I was surprised by most is how cheap it was to buy U.S. politicians. I thought it would be very expensive. It's very, very cheap to buy U.S. politicians. And then they just put a fancy name on there, and then they say the buzzwords, deregulation, capitalism, industry. And you're like, oh. And then suddenly they have their own private island with no laws.
A plan to sell federal and public land to private companies to build low-regulation, low-tax havens for progress. Their co-sponsor on the blueprint was the company behind Prospera in Honduras, whose lobbying disclosures show they spent hundreds of thousands of dollars pushing for prosperity zones. But they also spent big on begging the American government,
thank you, Donald,
for handouts of your money. They've lobbied on refunding the U.S. International Development Financial Corporation, a government organization run by Epstein associate Ben Black that uses tax dollars to invest in American companies abroad. That's privatized foreign aid, and they might finally get their way.
Black went to Honduras and promised investment in real estate and technology there, including an investment in La Ceiba, which is slated to be absorbed by Prospera.
But it's more than just government handouts.
And also remember, please, that Donald Trump pardoned Hernandez, who was the corrupt leader of Honduras who gave Prospera these deals. And then he sold a bunch of drugs to the United States purposely to poison United States citizens. And then Trump pardoned him and is now working behind the scenes to try and get him put back in power so that he can sell more of his country to these tech dorks.
War crimes.
So we did a master plan, and we've developed ways to redevelop Gaza. Gaza, as President Trump's been saying, has amazing potential, and this is for the people of Gaza. We've developed it into zones.
Brilliant. This is the video that got taken down. This plan was before Israel carpet bombed Gaza. They had this plan before. We're supposed to, it just so happened. Oh, that's crazy. How did Israel know to just carpet bomb the whole place and remove millions of people? Just place them. It probably didn't have anything to do with. See how their plans aligned? Netanyahu gets to do the genocide he always wanted. And America will look the other way because their tech oligarchy was like, hey, we'll build this up and we'll include you politicians in it. We'll include you, Trump. We'll include you, Jared Kushner. You guys all get a cut in this. We'll do something. We'll call it the Abraham Accords. We'll pretend it's about peace, but it's just going to be a bunch of business deals for you. Okay. You could run the board of peace, Donald. You're the king of the board of peace, and you get to choose who is your successor. Okay, so I can put my family in. So now the Trumps have the board of peace, which is just going to stay in the family. They're set for life with this weird shadow government over in the Middle East. The dorks have already gone too far. We've already given the dorks too much, but we need to take some of this back from the fucking dorks.
It was sort of insane to see it all come together in this way. But
yeah, it wasn't called the Board of Peace before the genocide. This is the first time my YouTube channel got banned, and it was banned for like a month. We played the video, and I don't even think you can find it online anymore. It's the video that, where's this? Where was that? This? Where's that photo?
Wherever you look these days with Trump or with these tech guys, there's always the idea of a new city that they're proposing. And it's not clear why we need these new cities. You know, Gaza should be rebuilt for the Palestinians.
Chet says the governor can't replace need an election. Okay, well, there's conflicting opinions on that in the chat. I don't know the answer. I'm just reading the chat, but I'm not sure.
But these guys see it as an opportunity to take the land. And so that shows you the degree to which this thinking is starting to imbue everything that they do.
Look at how the people in this fringe movement reacted to other
So I don't know where that screenshot was, but one of those screenshots, the one that was like AI generated, showed those buildings, that was from the original plan, and that video has been taken down off the internet. I can never find it, but it got us suspended from YouTube for the first time, which was crazy. And I think it got us suspended from TikTok too. I was blown away.
In 2019, Mark Lutter, leader of a Peter Thiel-funded New City think tank, said that overthrowing the Venezuelan government would be an opportunity for these projects. And when the invasion did happen, Lutter suggested America establish a Florida or Texas-style government there. He cites America paying for a wholesale development plan after regime.
Blonde politics video? I don't think so. I mean, it was literally a video that Israel had put out about like what their plan with the Gaza Strip. They had actually put it out, and if you remember, it had like electric vehicle companies, and all the electric vehicles were clearly Teslas.
Change.
We're still on. Well, we're still on Peter Thiel's like cronies, but yeah, white nationalist Peter Thiel.
Is exactly what we're doing in Iran today, to the tune of $300 billion. Palmer Luckey, Lonsdale and Thiel associate and founder of
That's a real fucking person who has power.
In Iran today, to the tune of $300 billion. Palmer Luckey.
That's a real person. He runs Anduril. They're similar to Palantir. He has government contracts. That fucking guy is one of the most powerful human beings in the world. He is more powerful than any senator or congressman that you have voted for. That guy, this is the fucking Hunger Games. How is that fucking guy this powerful? All of them. They're all fucking dorks. We're just letting them, oh, they must know what they're doing. That guy is one of the most powerful people in the world, Palmer Luckey. Yeah. Why does he have such a bad mullet? Because he's a fucking dork. He's just some dude who sits around and beats off to the idea of him owning his own like civilization someday. And because in America we worship money so much, we look at this guy and we're like, oh yeah, that guy he's brilliant. He's a genius. We should celebrate that. No. He's trying to turn our country into a police state where they can control everything. And then get rid of democracy and have their own civilizations. That's his actual plan, is to undo democracy, turn America into their own civilization, and rule the world. And they're like, we're all in this together. Conservatives, this is for all of us. It's not. It's not. It's for them. Now, you might be second-class citizens, and maybe the progressives will be third-class, but Jesus Christ, the way you guys have just laid down, pre-lubed yourselves for these guys to come in and just fucking take everything.
Lonsdale and Thiel associate and founder of AI defense contractor Anduril, pictured here in cosplay, suggests.
I mean, if that was Mom Donnie, if that was Tim Walz, it's the only thing we would ever hear about. Or if it was George Soros or Bill Gates, or I'm picking bad people. Who am I trying to think? Like, who's a donor to the GOP or to the Dems that isn't a complete and total psycho? Anyways, or if this was whoever was running the what is it? Southern Poverty Law Center, SPLC. His name is Palmer Luckey. That's his fucking name is Palmer Luckey. This is what you meant by barely knowing how to wash themselves. There's no way somebody named Palmer Luckey is one of the most powerful people in the world. Now, not that many years ago, it was just like out in Silicon Valley. And again, just LARPing. They're just all LARPers. I don't give a shit if you wear this, for the record. I don't care at all. I've seen some people wear some weird shit. You can be into whatever you want. I don't care about any of this. Other than, like, he's a career LARPer who got rich. What is his birthday? Is that really not his birth name? What's his birth name? Anybody know?
A privatized city on Guantanamo Bay in Cuba, which President Trump also threatened with invasion.
Again, nobody wants this. They know that.
Once again, going back to the Nazi, the 25-point Nazi plan, it was expanding into other territories and taking their land and collecting their resources for a small group of Nazi leaders. These are all Nazis. Not just because they're expanding, but also because they're all actual Nazis. Like, these are all legitimately fascists. They're all Nazis. The most powerful people in this country, outside of the president, and you can say whatever you want about the president, maybe he is, maybe he isn't, they're all legitimately Nazis by definition. They just don't identify as Nazis, but all of their beliefs are just straight up Nazi. By the way, there's too many coincidences. Peter Thiel just left America, his homeland, where he started this Nazi movement. And as the Nazi movement is starting to collapse a little bit and turn in on him, he went to Argentina. The Nazi, Peter Thiel, when he saw the writing on the wall, went to Argentina. Yeah, always pay attention to white men making homes in Argentina.
That's why they hate populism. That's why they hate democratic representation. Despite all of this being couched in freedom.
I'm literally praying for the supervolcano after 3 minutes of listening to this. Sorry, Ramboni.
They're asking for is to exit entirely from any government structure. But that's just...
Yeah. If anybody doesn't know, the people who escaped Germany, the Nazis who escaped the Nuremberg trials and went and hid, they went to Argentina. They fled to Argentina. That's why you have a lot of German names in Argentina. They ran from the consequences. They saw the writing on the wall of Nazi Germany. They got the fuck out of there, and they went to Argentina.
It's not how it works, especially when most of these guys are...
Red X said, everybody donates. Y'all got $2 for real. Thank you. You've been nice to me, Red. I bet Casey still hates you, but you've been nice to me today, so I appreciate that.
Government contractors and are still wanting to have the benefits of our society without having the responsibilities of our society.
These are people who don't like being told no. They're angry at the pushback against data centers, that we don't want AI to take over everything, that no one supports annihilating a civilization to replace it with one they can profit from.
People need to understand that
thank you, Trudy.
Billionaires have become radicalized against democracy, and they're in the process of using everything they have to try to destroy it. And that's the battle of our moment. That's the battle of our time.
It's not too late to push back. Public response to data centers works. Many of the governance as a service startups are starting their work in towns and states, where you can still have a voice to stop them. The billionaire class wants to turn your home into their playland, completely change how everything is run, to funnel more wealth to themselves, create chaos, and then when everything is all fucked up, walk away with their winnings to their own private enclaves, all under the guise of fixing a broken government, a government that they broke. And yeah, sure, the government is broken, but it's not because of democracy or lack of corporate privatization. It's because of corporate power. We need more democracy and less corporate control.
MAGA, I implore you, please understand that everything that you have been told your movement is about is not about that. It's literally about these rich people consolidating power both here and abroad. It's Donald Trump setting his exit plan for his family and setting them up so that they will never be punished for the crimes that they're committing, and they'll be able to go live outside of it. Like, all of these people are trying to either take over America, or their backup plan is to leave America, but to have that backup plan all set up. They all have bunkers. They all have like $100 million bunkers. They all think the apocalypse is coming. They think nuclear war is coming. In fact, they want nuclear war to be here. They don't care if you all die. It'd be great if you all died. They would love to just all wake up from their bunkers one day and start over. And it's like playing Tropico. They're like, oh, we get to start from scratch now. We'll do it the right way this time. They literally don't care about any of you or any of humanity. They just want to be able to run their own worlds because they're too bored now with all the money that they have. The money hasn't provided them what they thought they were going to get. So now they live these weird ass fantasies. Tanya said, great show today. Thank you, Tanya. Kelsey, thank you for joining the $2 train. I appreciate that. YKSD said, the real owners of this country by George Carlin. Yeah. George Carlin was way ahead of his time. Even Q may have been co-opted by the Epstein class. Certainly Q was co-opted by the Epstein class. Certainly was. I think you can look to Steve Bannon on that one. All right, Jen, did I miss anything?
Nope, I think that's all.
All right. Thank you for your positive attitude today.
Always.
Okay. All right, everybody. I think I got everything. I will be back, and Jen will be back tomorrow morning and every weekday morning, 9:30 a.m. to 1 Pacific Standard Time, right here on YouTube, Twitch, and TikTok. Thank you guys so much. TikTok gifters, Ra Lee, I fuck that up every time. Johnny D, Meg Clectic, Kim, Plants on the Spectrum, Eve, and Andy in Wonderland. Thank you for being the top gifters over on TikTok. And for everybody who donated today, I appreciate you guys helping us keep the lights on. Just remember, tomorrow is our movie night for our members event. If you want to join us for movie night, you need to be a paid member either on YouTube, TikTok, or Twitch. And if you just want to support us, but you don't want to come to those events, it goes a long way for us planning out. Memberships start at $3 on YouTube. If you have Amazon Prime, you can go over to Twitch and you can use your Amazon Prime membership for a free membership on Twitch, and that goes to us. You don't have to pay a dime for that. And I think on TikTok it's called Fans or something like that. I can't remember even what it's called, but having a consistent base of subscribers helps us project into the future, and hopefully at some point expand, build out the studio a little bit. My plan, just so we're aware, I just want to continue to build this way, build out an actual studio where we can have in-person guests and do a little bit more collaborative stuff from time to time. So that's what we're trying to do, and what your guys' generosity goes a long way in helping us accomplish those goals. So thank you so much. Weird start and weird end, but that's how it goes over here. Guys, go outside today. Go outside and touch grass. If you can't touch the grass, smoke the grass. I highly recommend smoking the grass while touching the grass. It's a beautiful experience. If you can't do that, find something to occupy your mind that makes you happy. Talk to someone that you love. Tell them that you love them. But more importantly, look in the mirror and tell yourself that you love yourself, and drink lots and lots of water. It's important to stay hydrated. Reach down and find those bootstraps. Pull yourself up by those bootstraps and then put those boots on the ground. But before you do, once again, look in the mirror, say something nice, and get that water bottle handy. And until I see you guys tomorrow morning or any other weekday morning, 9:30 a.m. to 1 Pacific Standard Time, right here wherever you're watching, I hope you have a terrific day. Take care of yourselves, stay cute and cool, and have a great summer.